10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Sorry,
5,
Joe.
4, 3, 2, 1.
For those who fought in the Battle of Britain, it was a battle for survival. For the free world, it was a breathless moment in history. For failure would have plunged mankind into a new dark age. Never have so many owed so much to so few.
I presume that there is no one who will deny that England should fight on, even though the remainder of the continent of Europe is dominated by the Germans.
What's left of your army abandons weapons at Dunkirk. You're defenseless and just playing for time. Europe is ours. We can walk into Britain whenever we like.
Don't threaten or dictate to us until you're marching up Whitehall.
The war in France was over. The Battle of Britain was about to begin.
2 seconds, scramble! Take them on! Don't just stand there, get one up!
Faced with certain defeat, fighting against insuperable forces, a miracle was achieved by a courageous few.
Is everything up?
A lot, sir.
The German military machine, a formidable enemy of thousands of planes, a sure weapon of mass destruction against a small and undermanned force. Yet the story of the RAF in the Battle of Britain is the modern David and Goliath. Never has a motion picture captured the mood, the feelings, the terror. It's all there. The courage, the fears, the frustrations.
They've got the rose and crown.
He'll have to drink at the Red Lion there, won't he?
The people, the men and women who recreated vividly and realistically one of the great periods of our time.
We're fighting for survival. Losing. We need pilots. And a miracle.
Britain's finest hour, and the events and people who made it happen. This was the Battle of Britain. Why they did it is history. How they did it has become the miracle story of our time. Years in preparation and production, filmed where it happened, the skies once again screaming with bombers and fighters. One massive spectacle of a motion picture that attempts the impossible. And that achievement is the Battle of Britain.
They got my number 2 and the CO. You saw Canfield go down. It blew up. Just blew up.
This is only the beginning. They won't stop now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to the show. As an ex-RAF man myself, I am erect with pride after watching that trailer. Now that's what I call a trailer. It's like 4 minutes long, and it has virtually the entire movie compressed into it.
Is that the Cliff Notes? Right there. It's not a trailer; it's a Cliff Notes.
I mean, you got your money's worth with trailers in those days, you know.
Yeah. Damn.
Am I coming across a bit loud here? It seems a bit loud.
Doesn't seem like that to me.
Okay. Right.
You sound like you're just fine to me.
Just checking. Maybe it's me that's a bit loud, and maybe I sound loud to myself with this. Well, welcome everybody to today's show. Postponed from last week. My apologies. I've been struggling for a week with a sick wife and a sick puppy. It's hard to know who to deal with first, who's the most important, you know. It's
Come on, bro.
It's pretty tricky.
Come on, bro. She's not watching, is she? Good Lord.
He says you can watch this movie for free on YouTube, and it's stirring stuff indeed. We'll be definitely talking about the movie, but we'll also be talking about the Battle of Britain itself. Only so much we can compress into a 2-hour show, so relying obviously on folks in the chat to help me with factoids and info.
No doubt, because I make love, not war, so I'm not really a historian on this stuff. I just know that Great Britain got shelled into the Stone Age before this attack started. So you know.
Yeah, well, the Blitz carried on for a long time outside of the Battle of Britain, and it wasn't just in London. It was cities all over the UK, even Glasgow and Edinburgh and other Scottish shipyards, industrial.
The very
works.
thing that got us to the moon was being showered on Great Britain. No doubt about it. It's ridiculous. Rockets.
Stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm of a generation whose father was in the Air Force during the war, and uncles were in the army.
My grandfather was with Patton at the Battle of the Bulge. I know a little bit about it, but
surrounded by people who had experienced it firsthand. Yeah. And there were still bomb damage all over the place wherever you went. Still,
shit, they're still finding bombs. Are you kidding me?
Still shit.
Didn't they just evacuate a bunch of people out of Berlin? They found a friggin' bomb the other day.
There was bomb sites all over the place when I was growing up. So
another one in Japan. I think I just read yesterday an article where the same thing happened in Japan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd like to just thank Tim, who FKHC 2005, who is a major driver in reminding me to do this show. So thank you, Tim, for that, and thank you for your membership of the channel. And never was so much owed by so many to so few, as Winston Churchill famously said about those brave air crew. But thank you, Tim, for being a channel member and for being so interested in subjects like this, which not everybody in our space of YouTube is doing.
Yeah,
I have to say. Obviously, Gary's doing pop culture, minefield, military shows, but there's not many other shows about movies like this. So. And subjects like this. So thank you for that, Tim. I'd also like to thank Christian for celebrating 12 months. Has it really been a year? My God, since I did members. 12 months of membership, and not only that, he's a member twice. How he does that, I don't know, but he did it. So thank you, Christian. Thank you, everybody else, for being in the chat. We'll just say hello to you all individually shortly. But before we start, the Battle of Britain. I've got a lot of notes around me today because I was never going to remember.
You need a lot of notes for this subject.
And we're never going to cover the whole thing properly.
No.
I mean, I just said we have to mark this, the 85th anniversary of this campaign, the Battle of Britain.
I had that right when I was pushing it for you on my channel. Yeah, 85th anniversary. Yeah.
And last week was September the 15th, which was the 85th to the day, the most active day of combat in that battle. Was the 15th of September. That's why last week was so appropriate. When every RAF aircraft was in the air that could fly. There was nothing in reserve. Everything was up. So, as they show in the movie. But it was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. Obviously, the superior service, the Air Force, as we all know. Out of all the military services, the Air Force
They think they're
the Royal Air
superior
Force is
because
superior.
they're smart and all that good stuff. They are actually smart. I mean, my dad he changed services from the Army to the Air Force. After 6 years, he had enough ground pounding. He said, "I'm going to use my brain. Let me get in 4 to 6 comm squadron.
Stand back and launch the aircraft.
Yeah, let me get in the rear with the gear. I'm going to get with the Air Force guys.
The rear with the gear. Get in the rear with the gear. That's a hostage to fortune, that statement. We'll come to Christian's super chat, and in fact, we'll do Christian, my friend. You're so good to me, my friend. And I will reciprocate, I'm sure.
Christian and I went to the World War II Museum down in New Orleans, by the way, the National World War II Museum for the United States.
Indeed.
And we didn't go to the European theater though. We went to the Pacific Theater, and we went to the Holocaust Museum.
There's a reason why the Battle of Britain and the movie Battle of Britain isn't so well known in America. It's because you guys were late to the party yet again.
Yeah, but we showed up and saved some asses, all right? So don't even start with that.
Late to the party again. We had to do it on our own. Well, we didn't quite do it on our own, as we'll see. But thank you, Christian, for $25. God bless the men who did the ultimate sacrifice. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
100% agree, my friend. We at this stage, although some of it, I mean, I saw a little bit of action, but not. Anyway, it's not about me, but it's hard to comprehend what some of these people went through.
Shoot, I was in the military, and I can't comprehend what those guys did.
I had a very easy time of it.
Look, stuff that went on in that war. That people, civilians even. The story of Dunkirk is amazing to me. It would never happen today. There's no way civilians would get in their own boats and go get their own people. There's no way. No.
It was an incredible thing, and I actually knew, I'd spoken to a few people who were there over the years when I was younger, and it's quite an incredible thing. But another $2 from Christian, thank you. I had to modify God, the word God, F YouTube. I know, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah, that's bad.
Is that? I mean,
I always spell it GAWD.
Yeah.
That's the way I usually do it. Yep.
As Snorty says, there were a few US volunteers flying with the RAF in the Battle of Britain. We're going to take a look at the nationalities as it's seen at the end of the movie.
I'm sure there was Canadians there too. I mean,
there certainly was. Yep. Canadians were heavily involved all along, as were the other Commonwealth countries. $5 from our great friend Tim. Thank you, Tim. What about the Eagle Squadron, Americans who went to help the British? Well, we won't be able to get into that in extreme depth today, but yes, there were many, many Americans who signed up and came over and fought for various reasons. One, because they thought it was the right thing to do, and others because they knew it was going to be a different experience. You can put it that way. Something that was the combat experience they would get. So thank you to those guys who did it. Christian, again, for $5. Thanks, mate. See, you're too good to me. And Joe, more than a handful is a waste, only if you got small hands, Joe.
Of course, leave it to Christian to bring it back to boobs. Good Lord.
We're getting away from the
from the subject matter.
Matter. I got to play some kind of video to thank those guys.
That's right.
How about this one? Edward Fox from the movie.
Thanks awfully, old chap.
So English. Thanks awfully, old chap.
I love that guy.
Edward.
Wasn't he in Force 10 from Navarone? Yeah, I think that's where I remember him from.
He's been in a number of...
He's
the Fox brothers are in a number of things. There's three of them, I think. Three Edward James and who's the other one? Somebody will remind me. One of them's pretty based, if I could put it that way. But as I was saying, Battle of Britain, first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces, and it pitted the RAF with some Allied support and the Fleet Air Arm. Let's not forget them against the German Luftwaffe, with the goal of achieving air superiority over the United Kingdom, which the Germans required for their invasion plans. Operation Sea Lion, no air control, no invasion. I like how they said in that thing, we'll walk into England. Well, no, you got to take a boat. You're not just going to.
I was fixing to say their border is water. Okay, you have to show up in a boat.
Doggerland sank 5,000 years ago. So yeah, the battle is officially recognised by the British as lasting from the 10th of July 1940 to the 31st of October 1940. Although German perspectives extended it to include the Blitz up to May 1941. Well, I'm not going to talk about their perspective because they called it the Battle of England. So screw them for forgetting Scotland, Ireland, and Wales.
Right? Hello?
Hello, Pope.
How's it going, guys?
All right, mate. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
No problem. I've always loved studying the Battle of Britain. I've always loved both the Hurricane and the Spitfire, so this movie was just right up my alley.
Spitfire's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, if I was going to watch this, it'd be the planes, to watch it for the planes. They're pretty cool looking stuff, man.
We will talk about that to the extent that we have time for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so last week would have been the 50th anniversary of that day, with British ground control ordering every squadron into the air, so no reserves left, when the most intense combat over London with huge losses on both sides. And let's not underestimate the losses on the German.
He meant 75, side. Folks. He didn't mean 50.
I said 85. Sorry, I meant 85. Did I say 50?
Yeah, you
My
said 50.
God, I'm getting old.
We both are, pal.
I'll rewind that and add 30 years, 35 years to 80. Well,
strike that. Reverse it.
This stuff was fresh when I was a kid. It was still fresh.
Right.
It's hard to believe. It's you wake up one day and it's 85 years since the Battle of Britain. Oh my God. So we will take a little bit of a look at the Battle of Britain itself, but we are using the movie as a vehicle to talk about it. The 1969 movie. I figured that was probably the best way to hang the conversation around it. So,
well, let me ask you this before we get started: is it accurate to the events?
I think the movie is pretty accurate. Obviously, as we'll talk about when we talk about the cast, the vast majority of characters in the movie are fictional.
Mm-hmm.
Or composites or allegories of real people.
That's not what matters to me. I mean, you basically have to come up with fictional characters.
Some of the key phrases and the key steps that happened in the battle and the way it developed
events
over the
of
weeks.
What happened is what I'm wondering.
And I think the thing that always impressed me was the incredible authenticity and attention to detail in the combat, which we'll talk about, and we'll see a lot of stills of those of the aircraft, of the uniforms, the radar and ground control side of it, all that stuff, incredibly well detailed, and they had great technical advisors, which we'll talk about. Okay. So incredible. Yes, it's a movie, so it takes liberties with many things, but and especially with the exposition parts, but pretty much true to life in the vast majority of ways that count. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm sure many others would agree. I know my dad, who was in the Air Force, was always a lover of this movie. Mm-hmm. He was a Lancaster flight engineer.
Well, that lends it authenticity. If it's somebody that served at that time,
his
and
best friend
knew
was
a lot
a
about
Spitfire
it,
pilot who ironically survived the war and then died in a training accident afterwards. After the war
Didn't that suck?
It was just
wow,
a horrible thing.
Well, that happened to America's Ace of Aces, Richard Bogg.
Yeah,
it's like he had 40 aerial victories over the Pacific. Got sent home because he'd been awarded the Medal of Honor and they couldn't afford to lose him, and died in a test flight for the P-80 Shooting Star the same day the bomb was dropped on Japan.
It's unbelievable.
It's the irony of that, and the sad irony is incredible. Just wanted to prove that when I say I was in the Air Force, it's true, and forgive the crappy photograph. I've not beamed in from another dimension at that point. It's just a terrible photograph, but that is me in the Air Force.
Actually, the unblurred portion is pretty good. You know what? First impression, man. I'm seeing Timothy Hutton and Taps.
I wouldn't.
Tall, skinny guy.
I'm not against that. Well, short, skinny guy maybe, but that was, my God, I was handsome. So I'm not kidding when I say I was in the Air Force.
There you go.
For 12 years, so but apart from the first Gulf War, I had a pretty quiet time compared to many people. So.
I got to ask a stupid question too. Am I the only guy that wore a name tag in the military? I keep seeing pictures with no name tags, and I'm like,
we didn't have that.
Yeah, we didn't.
Wow.
No.
The Marine Corps doesn't wear them. You have your name tape on your digis, and that's it.
Wow.
We generally did not have that. Yes, it's.
Army's got it. It's got Army on the chest and,
Well, that's
and
because
my
you
name
guys,
on the other side.
See, that they should actually put it upside down so you can remember your own name when you're in the army. Oh yeah, that's what it is. Smith. Okay.
Whatever.
Right, I want to say hello. I know we've said hello to a few people in the chat, but I want to say hello to everybody else. Thank you all for being here. My small but dedicated crowd. So Vince Womack was here earlier, leaving a chat. I don't know if he's still here. Hope he is.
The hardest working wrench in the business.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Vince, Tim, obviously, tremendous chap. Thank you, Tim. Lord Thoth, absolute hoser that he is here. You'll know about the Canadian Air Force. There's a Canadian in this movie. Although he sounds English.
And there's a non-zero chance that a lot of the Canadian pilots that showed up were actually Americans.
Maybe,
right.
Maybe. Well, the line was blurred in those days. Crimlon was here. Snorty
Well, and
is
a lot
here.
of guys wanted to volunteer for the RAF to fight the Germans.
I was fixing to say, a lot of people were that wanted to get involved in the war were going to Canada.
We were a neutral power, so we
same thing in World War One. I mean, yeah.
Snorty is here. So I'm just scrolling. Davina is obviously here. Good to see you, Davina. No, D-Bud is here.
So like, but you would see Canadians with like thick Southern accents.
Yeah,
it's like, gee, I didn't realize Texas was part of Canada.
Davina, Snorty, if I forget anybody, I will catch you later. Please keep those chat coming. Keep your factoids coming about the Battle of Britain. Christian Dolan says the best part of this movie is Sir Laurence Olivier's performance. It is a good one. I actually really liked his performance in this. He had the right amount of gravitas with humanity mixed in.
I thought that was him we were seeing in that trailer.
You have Laurence Olivier and also a very young Michael Caine.
Very young Michael Caine.
Caine.
That's my out. Don't you leave a dent in that aircraft.
What accent is that? Because he's got a very specific accent.
He's a Cockney.
He's Cockney.
From London, isn't he? Yes, apples and pears. Gary Glitter. Up the Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So if I forget anyone, sorry, but my text said moron. So it said Norom, because it was upside down. Christopher Plummer is indeed the Canadian. He is a Canadian. He was a Canadian. I've seen him live. I saw him in theatre. I saw him doing Shakespeare in Stratford in Ontario, not in England.
So, I mean, you have him in here as well. You have some pretty serious actors.
It's a very, very, very stacked cast, albeit there's no American stars in it, as it were, which probably didn't help the American box office. But they even had Polish fighters training in Canada. They did, and that's in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Poles. Stop chattering in Polish.
Right?
Well, actually, there was an anecdote I remember from the Battle of Britain where one of the Polish pilots that got shot down almost got himself killed because he was speaking in Polish and they thought he was German.
Well, so in this movie, there's a Polish guy has to bail out of his aircraft, and the English farmers think he's a German.
Yeah, this might be a reference to that.
And it was real. These kind of things happened, you know. But yeah, the Polish were very, very, very good fighters and very brave, and they are featured. You've got Barry Foster, the guy that's training them. He's getting all exasperated, but he's very proud of them when they get full squadron status. So thank you, Christian, for the other $2 there. I'm sure we can find another appropriate video, albeit maybe not necessarily from this movie. Here's one. It's from somebody who wasn't in the movie, but he should have been.
Well, they don't march in the IRA, you know. We had to teach Hardy Kruger as well. You know, all he could do was goose step.
I love that clip. So great.
Pretty good, isn't it?
I would have loved to have a beer with Roger Moore. It would have been great.
Oh, I know. Wouldn't
My
that be
God,
such a
that
good
guy
evening?
is so funny.
What a
God,
good
he's
evening
funny.
that would have been.
Yep.
But anyway, the Battle of Britain timeline, and this is going to be compressed, and we're going to not cover every great thing about the battle, but 10th of July 1940, the official start designated by the British Air Ministry, and really the Germans started by trying to wipe out British shipping and ports in the Channel, which continued. I mean, these parts of it continued throughout August 13th, Eagle Day, the Luftwaffe launched a major offensive to destroy the airfields and the infrastructure. So trying to take the RAF out. Bombing the airfields, destroying aircraft, radar. Also, you see all that in the movie as well. That's their main. So the main assault phase then was kicked off, and they were throwing. And they had like 4 times the number of pilots in the aircraft. It was a bit. The RAF were well outnumbered. August the 15th. The greatest day, the Luftwaffe mounted its largest single day attack, 1,786 sorties flown, and the RAF repelled the assault, losing 34 aircraft to the Luftwaffe 75. So it was a war of attrition on both sides. Luftwaffe were hoping that the RAF would run out before they did. So even that might look good, that it's like a 2-1, but it still wasn't good enough for the British. They had not enough pilots to keep that up. And then, as we see in the movie, of course, the Germans who had bombed London, in the movie, the RAF decided to bomb Berlin just to say, fuck you.
Right?
And the funniest part is the first incident of Germans bombing London was actually by accident.
It was an accident. You see that in the movie. We're 9 minutes late. Let's just drop the damn things. And it happened to be on civilian areas. So the
and it just happened to be over London.
Yeah, the RAF reprised. So you got reprisals from the RAF, but then Hitler made what is seen and talked about in the movie by Dowling, Laurence Olivier's characters, the big mistake, switching everything to large-scale bombing of cities, so sparing the airfields then, and allowing the RAF to recover and have a bit of a breather, albeit they're still up in combat over the cities, but their airfields were spared. So September 15th, Battle of Britain Day, as it's designated, massive daylight raids in London, everything in the air for the RAF, 60 German aircraft shot down compared to 26 RAF losses. Germany was not going to get air superiority the way it was going. So then, as a result, September 17th, Operation Sea Lion postponed, planned invasion of Britain never going to happen. Which
and even looking at the plan for Operation Sea Lion, that plan was optimistic at best.
Yeah, somebody said in the chat, I think, that they tried wargaming in it and it just would never have worked.
I think I've seen essentially a breakdown of that, and it was just never going to happen.
Yeah, as Churchill said, we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the fields, fight them everywhere. So the Germans switched to what they then continued to do throughout most of the rest of the war, which was night bombing. Largely working on cities and industrial stuff, and that was a different kind of aerial battle for the rest of the war. But the British maintained air superiority and saved themselves from invasion. Just a few stats though, and forgive me if some of these may be wrong. I mean, I've kind of gathered these up from various places, and I haven't had time to verify everything in detail. Then there's obviously varied sources. RAF Fighter Command had 1,200 fighter aircraft, mainly Hurricanes, 700 and 400 Spitfires. That's in July, of course. There were losses, but then they were churning them out too to try and replace them. The Germans kind of started with about 2,600 aircraft, including 1,200 Messerschmitts, VF-109s and 10s, 1,000 bombers, and then the Stuka dive bombers, 300 of those. The RAF lost 1,542 aircraft, including 1,023 fighters, which, as you can see, was pretty much all they started with over the course of the battle. But the Luftwaffe,
they lost almost every fighter they had.
Yeah, and then luckily they were making a few more. And the Germans, though, lost 1,887 destroyed, with 1,100 being fighters and bombers. So RAF pilot and aircrew killed, 500 aircrew killed, 400 wounded or captured. But the Luftwaffe lost, because a lot of bomber losses, 2,698 aircrew killed, 967 captured, 638 missing, probably in the sea. So huge attrition success for the RAF in that respect. RAF flew 40,000 sorties in that period. That doesn't even, people always say 40,000, but I mean, if you look at how many that is per day, in the space of, 3 months, 4 months. Intense. Those guys were knackered. And the ground crew, which I was one of in my day, they were working flat out too.
So the pilots had it bad enough. I don't even want to know what the schedule was like for the ground crews.
Yeah, well, at one point, Robert Shaw's characters, his flight sergeant said, that these guys had been working for 48 hours non-stop. He goes, yeah, I know. But there's no,
right.
What can you do, you know? Civilian impact, because of the Blitz and the bombing of London and other cities, 43,000 civilians killed and 51,000 injured. That's just between September 40 and May 41, but also cities all around England and indeed in Scotland too, and anywhere they could reach with their bombers that had industrial capability. And we'll look at the pilot composition too, but 2,936 RAF or Allied pilots participating, which included 595 non-British from a number of places. And the war, indeed, the movie itself has some numbers at the end, possibly slightly different from that, but this is what's in the movie. 822 RAF, another Commonwealth, so it's less than in the overall stats by the end. 339 killed, but there was a fleet air arm, Australians, the New Zealanders who contributed quite a few.
Wow.
Canadians, 88 Canadian pilots, according to the movie, took part. 20 killed. South African, Rhodesian, Irish, a lot of Irish, as in Southern Ireland.
Yeah.
Although they had obviously had the fight for independence against Britain and were very anti-British. Many of them, many Irish signed up, came over and signed up to fight the Germans.
And a couple Americans as well.
Yeah. 7 American pilots, 141 Polish pilots.
Because if there's a fight to be had, the Americans will be
are going to
somewhere.
be there, yeah. The Czechs played a huge part. So obviously countries that the Germans had ravaged.
Eastern Bloc showed up, huh?
Yeah, they showed up. And luckily
they were all exiles from their home countries because Germany had taken over. So they had an axe to grind.
26 Belgians, 13 Free French. There wasn't as many French got out, obviously. And then one Israeli, which is, Snorty is pointing out, and I didn't know that the Israeli pilot was technically a Palestinian Jew because Israel didn't exist yet.
Yep.
Yeah, it wouldn't exist until 47.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was even a British colony at that point. I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Palestine, yeah.
Because they took over from the Ottomans after World War One.
Yeah, as Tim said, the last of the few died on March 17th of this year. We'll need to look that person up so we can pay tribute to them.
You got another super chat, and you've got Viking Nav over on Rumble.
Oh, right. So we'll just check over in Rumble. Let me have a look. Let's see you there. Yeah, Viking Nav. How you doing, mate? Good to see you there. Thank you for chatting over there. Appreciate your contribution very much. We have a super chat from Christian.
Yeah.
We have that one there, which is $5. Christian DeLore's Line of Revival. I appreciate the stream, boys, and all of you ex-military, and my love for the ultimate civil servants was so great. My boy joined the Canadian Army. That's right, he did.
Yes, he did.
And we must all thank
And
him
he's
for
a
that.
military policeman. That's
Yes.
right.
So he couldn't get into the real military then.
Hey,
Just
I do
kidding.
like that statement he says, though, the ultimate civil servants.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I've
It's
never heard
true,
it called
isn't it?
that before.
If you think about
it. When you think about it, they are. Yeah.
Just before I play a little video clip for Christian, the French were the first to bomb Berlin, of all people, in 1940. Well, indeed, while the war for France was still ongoing, although I thought they surrendered within 5 minutes, the French. Just kidding. What
do you want me to do? Sweat garlic for you? Lose a war? What do you want me to do?
Yeah, so thank you very much, Christian, for that. I don't know if I've got any more absolutely suitable clips for wartime clips to show in all my movie clips. I got to find something that's suitable. I guess this is with the attitude of, this clip sums up the attitude of the British pilots towards the Germans at the time.
To be or not to be? Not to be.
We still need that version of Hamlet, damn it.
We do. I love that version. Many famous sayings came out of this battle. So Winston Churchill, after that the big day that was mentioned earlier, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. He had a knack for saying these things, and he certainly nailed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Churchill was a tough guy, man.
He was. Well, I mean, when you consider that his own foreign minister, Lord Halifax, was willing to consider the peace option that the Germans were pressing for. You know, he said, no, we're going to fight on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it may be the end of the beginning. And he was absolutely right with that. And the war entered a different phase then, and it was only a matter of time once America and others joined that the tide was going to get turned. So, although it still didn't look like that at the time.
At this point in 1940, the war was not going well for the Allies.
No, it was not.
I want to look at. Let me just close that. Oh, by the way, this is I'm going to order this. This is and it's from a specific site. You can get it at the Atomic Movie Store. The Battle of Britain 4K and Blu-ray limited edition hardbox and hardback booklet. This looks rather nice because I've only got a DVD copy. So.
And for those of you who are interested in watching the movie, YouTube has it for free.
It has it for free, but you don't get a lovely full color booklet when you watch it for free. And that lovely box.
The collectors will need to get this.
Yeah.
You put the link in the chat. You need to.
I will.
Yeah.
Let me do that. Let's see if I can get that in there.
You can get it in there.
I
trust you.
I can get it in there. That's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to come over here because the aircraft, and we're going to talk about the aircraft in the film later. We're going to get to that very shortly. But first, I wanted to really look at the iconic aircraft. And this is from the Imperial Wars Museum's website. And Tim was saying he visited the Imperial War Museum at Duxford to take a good look at it, and there's a Spitfire there, amongst other things. And Christian's doing it to me again.
Yes, he is.
He's just interrupting me when I get my flow going, and he interrupts me. $5 from Christian DeLorme's Vinyl Revival, great channel. And yes, Joe, ultimate civil servants, no contracts, no work to rule, no benefits, just a paycheck and a guaranteed letter to your kin.
That's it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say no benefits. There must
be some. There's benefits.
Yeah, there's benefits. Yeah. But yeah, I know what he means. Thank you, Christian, for that $5 and for those sentiments. Let's go with a different kind of military warfare.
We're expecting any resistance to be light, as the ancestors of our enemies have yet to evolve any thumbs, or indeed spines.
That was funny.
Tree Goblin. That was a fun stream we had on that.
Yeah, it was. That was a lot of fun. Yep.
So we're not going to cover every single damn aircraft that was in the war.
You couldn't. We'd spend 2 hours talking about it.
Some of them are truly iconic in the correct sense of the word. The Supermarine Spitfire, the symbol of British defiance in the air, a beautiful looking aircraft. I've seen a few in my time, but they are absolutely incredible, beautiful design.
Is there a red-blooded American male over the age of 50 that didn't have a model kit of this? Whether they put it together, but their dads made sure they got one. I'm telling you.
I used to have a poster of it, and now I don't know what happened to it. My wall was covered. I used to get aircraft magazines, and my wall was covered in posters, and all I've got left are two, and this is one of them. This is 65 years of RFC and RAF aircraft. You're
going to have to blow that up, buddy. Double-click yourself. You're going to have to blow that
I'll
up.
just show this now. This poster has lived with me since I was, God knows what age. And it mentions on the back the Imperial War Museum. So that was on my wall as a kid. And if you look at the back, it talks about the Imperial War Museum, which Tim was talking about.
Okay.
So Imperial War Museum, RAF Museum, Airborne Forces Museum, and so on. So the funny thing is, I only ever read the back of it once because it was on the wall the other way around.
Wow.
The other poster I've got, and this this wasn't in this aircraft was not in the Battle of Britain, but it has relevance to this movie. This is a Messerschmitt Me 262.
Yep.
Now, this is a lovely poster. The reason that I wanted to show this, because it wasn't in the Battle of Britain, we're talking much later, obviously, is that the second German squadron to receive these was the Luftwaffe's I can't pronounce this, Jagdgewehr 7. I got Jagdgewehr 7 was the next fighter unit to receive the type, and it was followed by Adolf Galland's Jägerverband 44 Bomber Reconnaissance Squadron. He was one of the technical advisors on this movie.
Damn.
So I realized his name was on this poster. His one of his squadrons got these.
Wow.
So Adolf Galland was the technical advisor on the movie, and he's mentioned in that poster, which is kind of ironic, really.
That's pretty cool.
Anyway, so that was my contribution to this from materials that I've managed to save when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spitfire, incredible aircraft. Spitfire entered service with number 19 Squadron at Duxford, August 1938. 18 RAF squadrons by September 40.
And not only one of the best fighters of the war, possibly the prettiest aircraft ever built.
It's just beautiful.
I have my own little love for the P-38 Lightning, but that thing is a close second.
Yeah.
Which one is the one that was on Baba Black Sheep? It's got the bent wings.
That's the F4 Corsair.
Okay, the Corsair. Yeah, that's always been my favorite one. I always thought it was interesting looking.
The Spitfire will always be associated with the Battle of Britain.
Oh yeah,
many
I mean, yeah, that's a ifonic frame and everything. Yeah,
shot down 529 enemy aircraft for a loss of 230 of their own. And as the different marks went on, they increased the speed, the different engines, increased the octane of the fuel, because they were pretty closely matched with the German ME fighters. So anything that could get an edge was vital, So the Hawker
they shot down twice as many aircraft as they lost, especially considering they sent the Spitfires after the German fighters.
Yeah. Oh,
while the Hurricanes were busy attacking the bombers.
Exactly. Yeah. The Hurricanes were slower, couldn't take the German fighters on as well, but they were easier to produce and more rugged and stable and repairable, but just not quite as fast. And it was a wood and metal framework, as the Spitfire was all metal, but still, they accounted for 656 German aircraft shot down, Hurricanes. But 404.
That's why I always had a love for the Hurricane, because for the Spitfires, was the poster boy, but this thing was the workhorse.
It's the workhorse, yeah. And you see a few of them in the movie. I think there's about 60 or 70 flying Spitfires still left, or flight capable. There's not as many Hurricanes, I don't think. Tim might correct me.
I know there's a couple, but they're not common.
Yeah. Now, the Bolton Paul Defiant was a 2-seater fighter the British used, which was fascinating, and it had a 4-gun turret.
I was fixing to say that's a turret on the back?
Yeah,
wow.
Because if it was pointing forwards, it could be a bit awkward for the pilot. But so it couldn't fire forward, so it was no good intercepting. They couldn't do the flying in from behind thing.
Right.
It's great for shooting down, and it had some success early until the Germans realised that their fighters could just take this thing anytime. So
the aerial equivalent of a drive-by.
Yeah,
right.
They got massacred, as it says here, in July and August. 2 squadrons.
Poor design.
Well, a little bit of a bit of left field, as it were, and then they didn't use it as a fighter after those massacres. But,
that was definitely one of those British designs where, like, yeah, you can do that, but why?
Why would
you do that? Yes.
Yeah.
So the Messerschmitt Bf 109, as it says here, arguably the best fighter in the world in 1940, faster than Spitfire at high altitude, could dive more rapidly, 2 cannons, 2 machine guns, and of course the Germans had more combat experience. But it didn't have the range. Range was important here, because the German fighters only had something like 20 minutes over London.
That's not good.
No, and they could only, as it points out here, they had 7 seconds worth of cannon ammunition. So they had to make it count.
What in the hell?
Yeah.
That's... and they were using this to attack another country over water. Yeah. That does not sound good.
And when the Germans switched to having their fighters escort the bombers all the time instead of going out looking for British fighters to fight, it hampered them even more. So they started the battle with 1,100 109s and 906 pilots available, but 650 were shot down. So then there was the BF 110, and you got to admire the paintwork on this
one. The teeth.
Yeah.
Love it.
The shark teeth.
That's iconic, man. That is badass. Yeah.
So two-seat, again, a two-seater like the Defiant. Mm-hmm. Fast, well-armed, but not maneuverable, so the British fighters had a lot of success against it. And it was a bit of a liability guarding the bombers. So they had to escort these with the 109s. So they had fighters escorting bombers. And they should have used it, as it said, the aircraft was more effective used as a low-level bomber against airfields, but then they pulled them off that. So they didn't use them for what they were best for, because Hitler wanted to bomb the shit out of the cities. So. The Heinkel bomber, HE-111.
Yeah, that's an iconic silhouette.
Yeah,
yep. No doubt.
As it points out here, not great defensively, didn't have a big bomb load, 2,000 kilogram max, but it could soak up a lot of punishment. So they would return home with hundreds of bullet holes. They should have kept the metal. They kept the bullet casings. Oh no, the casings would be good.
It's like the photos you see of some of the B-17s coming back with like the entire nose is shot away. The bomb bay looks like Swiss cheese, and it's coming in like 1.5 engines.
Yeah, and then the Dornier DO-17 Flying Pencil, converted from a mail plane, which I didn't know until I read this. Into a bomber, and the DO-17Z became the main production version. 3 Luftwaffe bomber wings, but it was obsolete really, so it couldn't carry a lot of bombs, had limited range, weak defensive armament, and the RAF shot quite a few of them down. And then of course we have the Junkers Ju-88. Which is a pretty iconic look as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a dive bomber, of course. So. Or Goering wanted it to be a dive bomber, let's put it that way. So the weight, in order to do that, the weight had a weight increase, which was made it more vulnerable. But this one, the Stuka, was the real dive bomber that everyone remembers,
and possibly the most iconic aircraft of World War II.
Yeah,
yep.
You see in all those clips, those black and white clips of them diving down. So I didn't. Yeah, I'm not even going to pronounce what Stuka is short for.
Yeah, no. Right.
Sturkampflugzeug. So this one was incredibly effective. Not in many campaigns, but over Britain, not so good, and I'm not sure why. I guess.
And it was getting a little long in the tooth by the beginning of the war, really.
Yeah. So they lost quite a few on like one day alone, August 12th. They lost 18 of them. So it started to get withdrawn from the battle. So the British kind of won the war of attrition with their aircraft, especially as they started to ramp up production. But the Spitfire will always be one of those beloved aircraft.
Yeah, Spitfire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That screams European theater.
It
the
does.
Big British symbols on it and everything. Yeah,
it's very cool. It's like you have the Spitfire, the P-51, and the P-38. And the ME-109.
I remember when I was a little kid, guys that were really into World War II, they'd have one of those, and I always asked them, why did these guys put bullseyes all over their plane parts?
Well, the really funny one was the fact of why
it's called a roundel.
I know
why the Aussies didn't put a red circle in the middle of their roundels.
It's like hostage to fortune, isn't it?
Well, because when the Americans joined the war, anything with a red circle was Japanese and got shot down immediately.
Right.
So the Royal Australian Air Force had to kind of fix some stuff.
When we did the Top Secret stream, weren't they throwing darts at the roundel?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were. I'm sure Davina or
like I said, I mean, it looks like a bullseye to me.
Yeah. So I know we've only covered some of the Battle of Britain stuff there. I mean,
This is what we affectionately call gear porn.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You
could do 10 hours of documentaries. There's many great documentaries about the Battle of Britain out there. So we'll never do that justice. We're going to move on to talk about the movie, but obviously we'll throw in some more bits and pieces as we're going. The movie itself, and as I say, I think they did a great job, as you were asking, Joe.
Yeah.
But it premiered on September the 15th, 1969 in the UK, November 1969 in the USA. And I do love some of the poster art. I mean,
what amazes me is it took until 1969 for the British to make a movie about this. This is like the RAF's finest hour.
Well,
right.
The RAF always got screwed by the bloody army, didn't so they'd already done, if you think about it, The Great Escape, The Longest Day. I think Dam Busters movie might have been.
I think that was
633 Squadron had been done. There was a few other ones had been done, but this was the big one, you would have thought. But anyway, it was great it was done when it was done, because it was in beautiful Technicolor and Panavision.
Look how young some of these guys were, man. Look at Robert Shaw.
I didn't remember Ian McShane was in this.
Oh, I didn't remember either until I thought, wait a minute, that must have been one of his very first
He would have
things
been like
ever.
1920.
Maybe Davina will be able to tell us if Ian McShane was in anything before, but there was lots of great Air Force related movies before, but this is the big one. Maybe they just felt they didn't have the production capability to make it.
You know something? That's a pretty damn cool graphic for the time.
Yeah.
It is.
That the two planes wrapping the banners around each other.
Beautiful.
That is a badass graphic. It
Very
really
beautiful
is.
graphic, yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess it's late 60s, so it's kind of almost a slightly pop art feeling to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
based... saying Dam Busters was 1955, so they'd already been making RAF movies for a while.
Black and white, of course, so now we wanted some colour. But based on the non-fiction book The Narrow Margin by Derek Wood, Derek Dempster, I actually read this many years ago. I haven't read it recently, but I must reread it.
I've heard that title before.
Yeah, The Narrow Margin.
I had no idea it was about the Battle of Britain.
Yeah,
wow.
Because that's what it was, a very narrow margin between defeat and victory. So based on that, produced by Harry Saltzman, Canadian, produced the first 9 Bond movies, of course, with Cubby Broccoli until he sold up to Cubby Broccoli. He was in the Canadian Air Force during the war, but funnily enough joined the U.S. Psychological Warfare Bureau. So he knew about propaganda.
Hello.
Hello. See him there with Robert Shaw. What an interesting thing to join, the Psychological Warfare Bureau.
Well, it's sort of like Christopher Lee joining the most British named thing I've ever heard of in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
That's
Hello.
Right, yeah. Hello, yeah, the original secret SAS or whatever you would call them now. But
MI6.
Yeah. Well, wasn't David Niven part of that as well? I can't remember. But,
or not David, but the guy that wrote the Bond movies.
Fleming,
he was part of it.
Well, he's Christopher Lee's cousin, isn't he? Am I getting that right?
Ian Fleming.
Yeah,
why am I blanking on his
name? Ian Fleming, yeah. So Ian McShane's first film was 1962, The Wild and the Willing. That's my life. That's the story of my life. I'm wild, but they're not willing. Commandos, yes. So anyway, Saltzman had I'm just trying to highlight those who were involved in the movie that had some kind of Second World War experience, because some of them did. Others were a little younger, like Michael Caine. But directed by Bond veteran as well, a guy Hamilton, who directed Goldfinger before this, but then after did Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Gold Gun. I also directed
Live and Let Die, being the greatest Roger Moore Bond movie ever.
Roger Moore.
Thank you.
You mean Roger Moore? You mean this Roger Moore?
My name is Bond. James Bond.
That would be him, man. And it was filmed in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Guy Hamilton did serve in the Royal Navy during the war. It says Vanny here, the Royal Vanny, I wrote. I think that means Navy. During the war, and received the Distinguished Service Cross. So good for him. Well done to Guy. And he directed the movie Funeral in Berlin with Michael Caine, and that was produced by Harry Saltzman. So the three of them had some experience together. Some more of those wonderful pictures, wonderful posters. This one's an interesting one. This is the Polish poster. And obviously, very popular movie in Poland.
Which service had the Purina symbol on their plane?
I don't know.
That would be the Poles, I think.
That would be the Poles.
Is that the Poles?
Polskis. That one's a bit more impressionist.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the one with the logo again.
Mm-hmm.
That beautiful swirly logo. And then there's French ones as well, and there's even a German poster, believe it or not.
Wow.
I wonder how well it did in Germany.
I wonder how well this movie did in Germany.
Right.
Violence and bad guys in everything.
Yeah. The movie was, the cinematography was by Freddie Young, who's one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. That's why it looks so good, why it costs so much.
This movie is beautifully shot.
Yeah, beautifully shot. He's one of the greatest of all time. Did all that work with David Lean, Freddie Young, as well as many, many other brilliant movies over the years. But served in the British Army's kinematograph unit during the war, basically making training and propaganda movies. Well, morale-boosting movies, you would call them.
I'll have to find them again on YouTube. There was a bunch of World War II cartoons from the U.S. Army that got released where it was drawn by Friz Freleng. Mel Blanc voiced all the characters, and the dialogue was written by Dr. Seuss.
All right.
So it's like,
wow.
How is everyone in this project famous now?
I was fixing to say, you just mentioned everybody famous in cartoons at the time.
Right.
Good Lord.
Hail Dustin, you're always welcome to join us, my friend, anytime you want. I know you're a busy man. If you ever get the chance, drop by, say hello. So, how do I get that off the screen? There we go. So, budget. The budget was approximately $14 million or £5 million at the time, making it one of the most expensive movies of its time.
I was going to say, that's a huge number for 1969.
Largely due to the authentic aircraft that they had to procure and restore, and also all the models they had to make that got blown up on in the screen. £1 million of that was insurance alone, because of the pilots and all the other stuff going on, because they filmed real flying. It was real. So, £1 million out of $5 million was insurance. It was a massive hit in Britain, topped the UK box office for a record 14 weeks.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but worldwide only made $13 million in box office at the time. It has since made it back many times with physical media sales and TV sales and so on. Didn't make a huge profit. Didn't make a profit at the time. Filming lasted over a year. Had over 100 actors in the ensemble. Utilized 100 period aircraft. 12 Spitfires, 8 Hurricanes. At the time they filmed the movie, it was the 35th largest air force in the world.
Wow. Wow. The movie had an air force bigger than some countries. Wow.
They sourced them from museums, collectors, surplus stocks across Europe, the Spanish Air Force, who had some variations of Henkels, Europe and US. They filmed that involved 1,000 extras and veteran pilots as advisors. Major production. That's big time stuff to make this movie, and it shows.
Keto Simple sent you some rock and roll sheep.
Yeah, the rock and roll sheep, my favorite kind. Thank you. $5 from our great friend Dustin. We miss you, Dustin. Hopefully you can join us for a stream one day. Thank you very much for that, mate. It keeps the lights on here. And if I forgot to say, everybody, make sure you like and share the stream. All that groovy stuff that helps us grow. We're almost at 2,200 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
Over there where Viking Nav is hanging out on Rumble, we're up to about 350 nearly, I think. So Thank you for that. And we are on X as well, I believe. Right
Yeah,
now.
nobody's talking on
Nobody's
X.
talking,
but I'm watching it.
chatting
Yeah.
on X. So we got to play a little clip for Dustin. Let's make it something sheep oriented, as he did mention sheep. Very obscure field.
That's funny.
Field of Dreams. Right, but one of the major points of this movie was the cast, the great ensemble cast, as these war movies often are.
And Tim's got the name of that cartoon down in the chat. Private Snafu. I'll have to look if you get a chance, look them up. They're pretty interesting.
We will. Oh, actually, there was something else. Forgive me. I wanted to just talk about briefly. There's a great website, like there is for many things, called the Internet Movie Plane Database, which if you want to look into this movie on there, and I'm trying it, it's a very slow website to load up, unfortunately. It's loading.
Yeah, it is.
It has all of the aircraft they used to make this movie, where they got them from, what they had to do to get them, and all the models they had to make. Full-scale models for sitting on airfields to make it look like it was full, and then blowing them up, and some that they could taxi by putting a lawnmower engine in them, and then they'd get blown up.
Right.
But then all the real ones that flew, and there were many of those. It's finally getting there.
Imagine being the guy who screwed that up and put one of the real planes out there.
That's right. Yeah, there's only like 8 hurricanes in the world, and you just blew one up. While it's coming back to that, we'll get there in the end. Let's move on to the cast while that's loading up. So, obviously, we had my name is Michael Caine. He's playing once again a British officer like he did in Zulu, which for a young working class lad like himself was quite amusing to end up playing all these officers. I mean, the screen time in this isn't great for these guys. Even the stars only had like 6 to 8 minutes of screen time each. So they're not getting a whole ton of it.
Well, Chin Chin, do carry on with your mud pie.
Clip from Zulu there. So Michael Caine, Squadron Leader Canfield, fictional character, too young to have served in World War II, but did serve in the Korean War. And that was being mentioned in the chat. It might have been by Tim. Can't remember now who mentioned it. Sorry if I got the wrong person. Tim sent me some photos, so I will dig those out in a minute. It was Tree Goblin, so he's talking about Michael Caine's Korean War stories. We might look into that one day. So he's in this, obviously, and he's standing here alongside Christopher Plummer, who's got Canada on his uniform, to distinguish him from, obviously, the ordinary Brits in the Air Force. Canadian pilot, squadron leader Colin Harvey, fictional character. He does have the only sex scene in the movie, though, with Susanna York. So you get some.
Oh, what a shame!
What a shame!
Oof.
I didn't write down whether Christopher Plummer was in the forces or not, so forgive me. Somebody might want to look that up. Here they are together on screen. I can only do very, very tiny clips from this movie because it didn't like MGM's a big copyright claimer. So.
God knows what I find in Scotland.
A lot of kids with down on their cheeks.
Yeah, training them to be fighter pilots is a damn sight more dodgy than fighting Germans.
Well, I'll tell him what he'll find in Scotland. Rain, wind, and a lot of sheep. So that's what he was heading to Scotland to train pilots, as they did. So
that's the other incredible thing about this, period, is that most of these British pilots were brand new.
Oh yeah, they were turning those guys.
Got that before, and we're just. Well, the Germans are right there. Go have fun.
Well, we're going to play a little clip that will illustrate that in a minute. Caine's Dunkirk voice at the beginning. He didn't use a posh accent in this. It's true, he didn't. It's another major star, and one of my favourite actors, obviously, of all time. Robert Shaw was in it. Very effective in this. He played a squadron leader, Skipper. Fictional, but inspired by a real-life ace, South African ace, Adolf, strangely enough. There's a lot of Adolfs, and these are on the British side. Adolf Sailor Malan. I'll come back to that Battle of Britain site there. Adolf Sailor Milan was a real-life ace that Robert Shaw's character is based on. He's called him Skipper instead of Sailor. So he's quite the gentleman if you read his biography. RAF's leading ace, one of the highest scoring pilots to have served completely with RAF Fighter Command. 27 destroyed, 7 shared destroyed, 2 unconfirmed, 3 probable, and 16 damaged. So not bad for a day's work. So check him out. Quite the gentleman. I didn't know too much about him before this. So Robert Shaw is kind of playing him. So yeah, you mentioned the fact that some of these pilots were pretty new. So after one of them, there's a rather bumpy landing in front of Robert Shaw. This is his reaction.
How many hours have you done in Spitz, Simon?
On Spitz, sir? 10 and a half.
Well, make it 11. Before Jerry has you for breakfast.
get the other half hour in, yeah.
Yeah.
How many hours in Spitz and how many in... No, I won't make that joke. That would be a Navy joke. So Robert Shaw, great addition to the movie. He just has such great presence. What a great actor. Sad loss when he died. Died far too young. That's the real guy that he was based on. Sailor Milan. Looking rather fetching there. These guys, one thing about these guys is they may have had a short life expectancy, but I bet they got the girls.
Right.
My father might have testified to that, but not in front of my mother. And he wasn't even a pilot, he was just aircrew. Laurence Olivier. They had a lot of lords and future lords and sirs of knighthood, knighted actors in this. Laurence Olivier being one. Air Chief, real character, Air Chief Marshal Sir Hugh Dowding, who obviously ran the whole show from an RAF perspective. Laurence Olivier was in the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm. Commissioned as a sub-lieutenant in 1940, trained as a pilot at HMS Kestrel, but then moved over to filmmaking, making morale-boosting films, and then had
not
problems.
Propaganda films, no.
He had problems with aviation, so he was grounded. I think he had his ears, something wrong with his ears or something.
Really?
So yeah, he stayed in the forces and made movies, propaganda films. Yes,
check it out.
He is great in this movie. Adds the required amount of human gravitas.
It's amazing to me the number of famous actors who were already famous who served during the war. Like I know Clark Gable was a waist cover on 17. Like, could you imagine showing up to your new bomber and you're like, is that Clark Gable?
Yeah. Well,
where am I right now?
There was so many of them did serve. I mean, Alan Ladd, various other guys had a hell of a. Some of them are a hell of a service, So
yeah, and Audie Murphy played himself in the movie.
Audie Murphy, yeah, he had a in the Pacific, hell in the Pacific. Yeah, what a time he had in reality.
Yeah. And it's not surprising he had such a horrible substance abuse problem later in life.
I know.
Guys,
also,
guys who saw what he did, he had every right to.
Oh, yeah. It's also starring as Trevor Howard as Air Vice Marshal Keith Park, a real character, a real person. Trevor Howard, obviously was in many, many major movies over the years, well known. These are all exceptionally well-known guys in Britain. British Army, South Staffordshire Regiment, Army Signal Corps. Commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1942, served in training roles in the UK, but discharged in 1943 due to ill health. So, but he did serve. We have a little clip of him, I think, rolling in his personal Hurricane. I've got to find out which one it is, or I'll play the wrong damn one. I think it's this.
How are they making out, Canfield?
Half the squadron are new pilots, sir.
That's why you were sent here, to lick them into shape. They get less warning here than any other...
So I should point out that licking pilots is not a required training method in the RAF. Okay? The Navy, again, possibly. He was in the Fleet Air Arm. So, yeah. Licking pilot. Keith Park was a New Zealander. Good point, Snorty. Yes. See, that's what I like about the chat. They're all full of the extra information that I ran out of time to to figure out. On the left here, well, it depends how you should say on the left or on the right. On the left, looking at it, Patrick Wymark played Air Vice Marshal Trafford Lee Mallory. He always had the greatest names. He was real as well. He was the guy who wanted the big wings. This is a part of the strategic and tactical debate you see in the movie and in real life that happened. He wanted massive force to go in, but it took time to get that together in the air, and by the time it was up in the air, the Germans were gone or dropped their bombs. So a constant tension between that and just get them up there. He was the actor though played in was a midshipman in the Royal Navy in the Mediterranean, including on minesweepers during active operations. So he saw actual service as an actor. Michael Redgrave here on the left as well, father of obviously Vanessa and many other Redgraves. Air Vice Marshal Douglas Eville, fictional character. He's there to do a lot of the exposition as the fictional, so various exposition pieces. Quite a good device in the movie. Didn't serve in World War II, but made propaganda films for the war effort. It's possibly why his progeny turned out all to be quite proactive in politics.
Well,
they were.
About World War II was that even if you didn't serve in the armed forces, you supported the war effort somehow. Whether if you're working in a factory, that was the last time you saw the West fully committed to a war.
Yes, exactly.
I remember when is it Vanessa?
Vanessa
Redgrave. Yeah. She won an Academy Award for the movie Julia back in the late 70s, I think it was. Yeah. And she got political up on the podium, and they booed her off the stage.
Yeah, now
what a different time it was. Yeah, you know? Yeah, they didn't want to hear about politics at the Academy Awards back then.
I have to say, though, her acting has never interfered with that.
No,
vice versa.
No.
She's done
some of them you just
roles.
have to put up with the craziness for the talent.
Roles. Wasn't she in one of the Mission Impossible? First Mission Impossible she was in?
She was in the very first one. She was the girl that was the arms dealer.
Yeah.
Yes,
she's a true
Max.
actress. In that
her name was Max. That was
she'll
her
take
name.
any role. She's one of those politics.
Along with one of the other actors who's a brilliantly talented actor. He's just a lunatic, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, right.
Ralph Richardson plays Sir David Kelly, British Minister to Switzerland, who's real, which is where any negotiation that was going or contact was always in Switzerland, of course. Obviously, an actor who played one of the best versions of God in Time Bandits.
Of course. Yes. Extremely funny.
It's really funny. Yep. That's pure concentrated evil. Make sure you don't miss a bit.
Don't miss a bit.
Yes. He was a Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve, served from 42 in administrative and morale roles, including as a sub-lieutenant involved in coastal defence and training. So he did his bit. Mm-hmm. The Germans. Let's talk about the Germans. We have Kurt Jürgens playing Baron von Richter. He was a fictional German ambassador to Switzerland. Him and Ralph have the discussion about, well, are you going to give up? No, fuck off.
Yeah,
right. He was actually in the German Wehrmacht, drafted in 1944, briefly served, but there was then imprisoned in a labour camp in Hungary for political unreliability after a confrontation with SS officers. So he was not on board with the project.
Yeah,
so
people don't get that either. That the normal here forces were not fans of the SS.
No, not at all.
It's been sitting here bugging me. I saw his picture earlier, and it just struck me. This is another James Bond reference. He is the bad guy in The Spy Who Loved Me. He's the guy with the webbed hands. I can't remember the name of the character, but that's him.
Yeah, that's him.
Pretty much one of the best German actors of all time.
Dude, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, he's a small role in this, but it's pivotal from an exposition perspective. Actually, one of the technical, I think it was Adolf Galland, the technical advisor, on the movie, the German that we mentioned earlier, he had a bitter argument with the producer and director because they had all the Germans doing the Heil Hitler thing,
right?
And he said, we were not SS, we did not do that. We were Air Force, we were Luftwaffe. We saluted in the normal fashion. We didn't do any of that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
that
awesome.
Was not, we were not the political ones. We were fighting as military men. We were not
Hail Führer.
He wasn't excusing anything. He said that was not accurate. We would not have stood there in front of Goering and did all that.
Right.
We would have saluted normally.
D. Bud Martin says in the chat the character's name in the Bond movie is Stromberg.
Coffee was rationed in Britain during World War II. Davina.
I'd imagine just about everything was.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have been as important as tea.
Yes.
If tea had been rationed, everyone would have immediately surrendered.
Either that or completely lost their minds and gone and invaded Germany in 1941.
Exactly, yes. Yeah,
oh my God, look at all the eagles and iron crosses.
Goering, one of the greatest Goering impersonations was done in this movie by this guy, Hein Rice, and apparently it was spot on accurate. And he actually made a living out of impersonating Goering, as well as being a singer. And funnily enough, he was a singer in Hamburg around about the same time as the Beatles were performing there.
Wow.
But, so he was Hein Rice. He plays Goering. Obviously, Goering was real. Very interesting guy. But
interesting is a way to put that, certainly.
That's right. So he didn't have a huge film career because he was more of a singer, but they picked him for this because he was great at impersonating Goering. As Adolf Galland said, his performance was spot on because he knew the real Goering really well. He just nailed him, he said. So.
Well, this is all helping the authenticity, everything you're saying, you know? Yeah.
In a smaller role, Kenneth Moore, who's very popular British actor when I was growing up. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him before.
I don't know this guy. Really don't.
He played Group Captain Baker, Assistant Chief of Air Staff, who was fictional. But Kenneth Moore himself was in the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve, commissioned as a sub-lieutenant, served on the cruiser HMS Aurora and HMS Victorious aircraft carrier in the Atlantic, the Med, and the Pacific. So he had a bit of a career.
So he was a sub-officer that never saw a sub.
Indeed. Well, sub-lieutenant. No, a sub-lieutenant, I think, is just a rank. I don't think he was on the sub.
It would be like our second lieutenant.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Gotcha. Sub-lieutenant. Gotcha.
Very famous.
I was thinking he was one of those guys that was in a submarine. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
You put a dart in British movie releases between the 50s and the 80s, and you'll see Kenneth Moore in a whole ton of them.
Really? Wow.
Very nice. Very very popular guy. Not a big role in this, but. Susanna York is practically the only woman, apart from a few people in the air raid shelters.
Wow, did they frump her down? Good Lord.
They did. So Susanna York is...
She's gorgeous.
She is Section Officer Maggie Harvey, Colin's wife. And she does have the only risque scene where you kind of see her in her stockings and whatever. And I mean, to be honest, the whole two of them together is like, who cares?
Right.
But he's always pretty dismissive of her wanting to do her service. He wants her to just follow him around, and I love that. I never could stand marching women. I love it.
Somebody used to put this together with that Chinese parade where they had the entire formation of female soldiers.
That's right. So we're never going to cover every actor, as I say. There's many we're not touching. We might mention them during the thing, but Edward Fox we mentioned, Pilot Officer Archie. Fictional but loosely based on a real guy, Sergeant Ray Holmes, who rammed a bomber over London, and there's actual real footage of it, possibly saving Buckingham Palace as it was just about to bomb that area. There is real footage of the incident. You can see it on YouTube. It's referenced in the movie, although in the movie he shoots him down, he doesn't ram the guy. And in the movie here, you see him getting a cigarette from the guy. Well, that's not what happened. He landed and he went to the pub with a bunch of locals who bought him drinks.
There you go. There you go.
So the real guy is...
Oh, how very English. Oh, yeah, I just got shot down over London. Let's go to the pub.
Let's go to the pub. We need a pint.
So there is Sergeant Ray Holmes, who rammed a bomber over London. I do think... I think I saved a.
I just questioned how he was able to fly with, or fit in the cockpit with balls that big.
Well, I know with balls of steel, but ramming, and they said at the time, ramming an aircraft is not training operational standard.
And Soul Assassin, Sabaton has made a song about the Battle of Britain, Aces in Exile, and it's specifically about the foreign troops that flew with the RAF. And I've listened to it many, many times.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is the real guy, and there's this website here, wingleader.co.uk, has got a whole thing about the pilot, Ray Holmes. 15th, this was on the 15th of September when all that work flying was going on. It's got every detail you could ever care. It's a fascinating story. So the plane did crash land. The gunner died in the crashed plane. The pilot was badly wounded, landing at Kennington, where he was beaten up by civilians. He later died of his injuries. So,
damn.
It's like, but that incident is just like ramming a bomber. That is the ultimate just fuck it, we ball moment.
Yeah. So there he is on at the brewery having a beer. The real guy. I just love this stuff. It's so good when you start reading into this stuff.
He might, as ballsy as he is, he might actually be related to John Holmes somehow.
He might.
Or John Holmes might be related to him.
Maybe.
Good Lord.
That's right. So Ian McShane as Flight Sergeant Pilot Andy Moore, fictional character. I think he was too young to have been in the forces. I do like his. I've got a couple of clips of him. I'm going to play one of them now. I'll play them both. This is when Robert Shaw. He's been missing, and they're wondering where he is. And he's This is.
Where the hell have you been?
Learning to swim.
Do your best, Fly.
Roger.
Bailed out in the channel, the English channel.
Learning to swim.
Yeah, learning to swim.
You get one?
All I got was a belly full of English Channel.
When are you gonna learn?
Wow.
It's a funny moment. It's not so funny when he's in the back home in London and his family get bombed. But it's actually quite interesting because after that there's a scene where Robert Shaw's character, because there was pilot sergeants, they weren't officers, commissioned officers. He's one of them. Ian McShane.
Pilots that they were allowing NCOs to train up.
Yeah, so Ian McShane was one of them, and he shouts out after Robert Shaw when he walks away there, "Sir," and he says, "When are you going to stop calling me that?" Because he's a pilot, and Robert Shaw's a pilot, and they're friends. He's call me that. Just forget that shit, Which I like. I like that sentiment, Only other guy I wanted to call out here is a guy who we're all familiar with from Braveheart and Game of Thrones. James Cosmo is on the right there. Scottish actor. You'll remember him from Braveheart. And wasn't he the Night's Watch guy in Game of Thrones?
Yes, he was. He was the leader of the Night's Watch. Yeah.
Yes, so there's the young James Cosmo as a pilot who's just seen his senior officer and his number 2 get taken out in the air.
Love him in Braveheart, man.
Yeah,
My God, he's awesome in Braveheart.
Exactly. So this was an early role for him too. So there's James Cosmo. There's some others we haven't mentioned. Harry Andrews, Barry Foster, who trains the Polish guys, Nigel Patrick's in it. They're all well-known British actors or whatever, but New Zealanders maybe. I don't know. So the music was done by Ron Goodwin and William Walton, and it's a great score. Maurice Binder did the opening sequences, title sequences, who did all the Bond. Obviously didn't do them in the same way. But a great feature of the movie was the technical advisors. Now here are Adolphe Galland and Robert Stanford Tuck, British and German, and I think they actually encountered each other in the air once in a battle, that they became great friends after the war. They were two of the senior advisors on the movie. And again, there is a great website which I want to point out, called Dave's Warbirds, and it's got the making of the Battle of Britain behind the scenes. And this is one where it talks about this is Duxford Airfield, where they've got Spitfires, Hurricanes, and a Heinkel are assembling for the movie. They had these Bouchons, which were Spanish versions of the Heinkels that the Spanish Air Force were still using. So they stood in for the Heinkels, a lot of them. You can see the two guys there, the two main technical advisors. You see them building the wooden aircraft replicas they were going to need, most of which were going to get blown up.
I love the wallpaper.
Yeah.
It's got the German and British symbols.
Yep.
Yes, I see that, yeah. It's a great site, daveswarbirds.com.
It's really interesting that most of the surviving HE-111s and most other German aircraft were from the Spanish Air Force because they did not get involved in the war, so they're the only surviving examples.
Yes, exactly, yeah. That's why they had to use them, yeah. So full-scale replicas being made there at Pinewood. Some of these photos I've used before, but there's 18 Spanish-built Heinkel 111 bombers. And there is the group of air aces they had. Lord Dowding is sitting in the wheelchair. You got Al Deere, Tom Gleave, Robert Stanford Tuck, who also was a famous ace. Polish guys, Drabinski, Boleslaw Drabinski, Douglas Bader. Do you know, guys, who Douglas Bader was? British air ace who lost both his legs.
Yes, I've heard this guy's story, and he's fucking awesome.
Continued to fly, was captured by the Germans and escaped from a prisoner of war camp with fake false legs. This guy was like...
But he's got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
If I recall correctly, he actually had an advantage in the cockpit because he could pull more G's than your average pilot because he didn't have any legs for the blood to rush into.
Yeah, apparently when he bailed out, though, and he got captured, he had to leave the legs behind.
Imagine being that guy getting dressed down by your corporal. It's like, how did you let a man with no legs escape?
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, I don't want to explain this one to the boss.
Yeah. So Ludwig Martel, Johnny Kent, and Peter Townsend were the other guys there. I don't know if that's the
Not to
same
be confused with Pete Townsend.
Not to be confused with Pete Townsend, but it could be the Peter Townsend that was involved with the royal family. I mean,
yeah.
I got that wrong. Squadron leader Ginger Lacey, another advisor with the director and Susanna York. He's teaching Susanna York how to salute.
Nice.
Not to march though. But so Adolf Galander was Manfred Rediman, who played Major Falke, the squadron leader, who was loosely based on him, and he's the guy that says in the movie to Goering, when Goering says, "Is there anything you need?" He says, "I'd like an outfit of Spitfires for my squadron." So apparently, Galland said that.
There was a lot of that in this era. I mean, you have songs like movies like A Bridge Too Far, where you had Anthony Hopkins' character was being played, or with the guy Anthony Hopkins was playing, was the technical advisor on the movie.
That's right. Yeah, it's quite interesting that to have yourself in it, but
that's got to be intimidating. Being the actor is staring at the guy you're supposed to be playing.
So the Snorty points out the Germans confiscated Douglas Bader's false legs after his escape attempt. You bastards.
Is he the inspiration for the Black Knight?
Maybe he could be.
It's
he was
just a flesh wound.
It's just a scratch. It's but a scratch. But he is a total hero in Britain, Douglas Bader.
Oh, I'm invincible.
And every kid knew about him growing up. So this is an interesting picture. It's Michael Caine sitting with Bianca de Marcias, who later became Bianca Jagger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of behind-the-scenes photos on this site. Check it out, daveswarbirds.com. Thank you to Dave's Warbirds for putting all that together. So why did I have Robert Stanford Tuck? I had Robert Stanford Tuck here for some reason. He was another ace that was involved with the technical side of things in the movie. Oh yeah, because he was Galland. Him and Galland became big friends. So he's in a hurricane there. So we're almost ready to watch some stills and just chat about anything we want. All of the airplanes, by the way, all of the scenes were shot with the real planes flying, or very large radio-controlled models. There was no little tiny little models pretending to be. Everything was actual flight, which made it very, very. The choreography is phenomenal.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's always going to look better. I mean, that was the big selling point of Top Gun back in the day, right? Real planes doing real acrobatics and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's always cool. Most definitely.
Absolutely, most def. But yeah, if you want to see the actual aircraft that were used to film, it's in the Internet Movie Plane Database on the Battle of Britain page. Lots of stuff I didn't know about there, so I'll paste that in as well. There we go. Lots of links for people
gear
to check
porn.
out.
Yeah, gear porn.
Absolute
What's up?
Gear porn. Tells you which ones got blown up, which ones didn't. And where they came from, the different variants.
I'll give you a hint, a lot of the German ones get blown up.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah. And it's got all these sites like the Imperial War Museum, and I've got all the different engine stats and so on. That
I wish you could scroll up a little bit and just blow that up, because that picture with them all sitting in the grass right there is really cool. The one at the bottom of that first cop, back down. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, that one.
That one right there. That's
That
it.
was
If you could blow that one up, man, that is really cool looking right there. It is.
It's a bit grainy, but yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty neat, man.
But they had just tons of this stuff going on making this movie. It must have been a hell of a logistical job.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
Job.
Yeah. That, and they have to film them in the air. And we're talking about 1969.
Yeah,
you know,
some planes that are 30 years old and probably hadn't flown in a while.
Oh my God!
Snorty has reminded me of the movie Reach for the Sky, which is about Douglas Bader. Yeah, he is one of the greatest war stories that you could hear. Is Douglas Bader's story. The man truly was the Black Knight.
He's right up there with guys like Audie Murphy, John Basilone, that caliber.
He was indefatigable, is a good word. Right, so
cool.
let's hide that in the stream, and then let's just watch some stills while we've got if it'll play. Well, there we go. We're off and running, so we can just chat about anything that's going on in the movie. I've got a couple of other video clips to play, show some chats if anyone's got chats, but it starts with them the fall of France. Who could have predicted that? It's never.
Oh my God!
But you see there. Some pilots still, they're basically, they're going to have to get out.
Yep.
Christopher Plummer's one of them. This is June 1940. I actually didn't realize that because Dunkirk wasn't until then. There were still some, even though Germany was invaded France a few weeks before that. The French didn't give up till then.
Well, that was the interesting part, is the French folded so quickly that the British Expeditionary Force damn near got cut off.
Oh, absolutely nearly got cut off. I think that might be the only Robert Shaw. So this is where they're putting some of the stars of the movie together, and you don't see Robert Shaw and Christopher Plummer again together. It's just trying to show you some of the major players that are later on in the movie were fighting there. They evacuate they take what they can to get out, and there's the bit where he says, "Burn the rest." Get rid of the rest of the birds. To the flight crew guys, how they're going to get out, nobody knows.
Right.
They
damn sure didn't want to leave it behind for them to use. Yeah.
Ground crew get left behind. That's bloody air crew.
Oh man,
bloody air crew. I'm gonna while we're watching these, I'm just gonna call up Tim's stuff that he sent me. Because Tim's always got some good stuff.
Tim has always got good stuff, especially when it comes to Great Britain and anything that goes on there. Yeah.
And you see some really great shots of the hurricane early in this movie. And
I have to keep telling myself, this wasn't far removed from the First World War. That they were still making planes out of wood, and
all metal fighter was a brand new thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a lot of stuff that was designed in the First World War, even the 20s, early 1930s. Britain was rearming fast, but it hadn't rearmed nearly fast enough. That was one of Churchill's things. It was
One thing I always found hilarious was at the beginning of the First World War, there wasn't really such a thing as an armed fighter, but guys would go up in the backseat of recon airplanes with rifles and shotguns and shoot at the other recon planes.
That's right. Yeah. Well, they would drop bombs on the other plane. They would drop grenades.
And they would also like throw tools and shit. Like if you had a wrench up there, you'd chuck it at the enemy.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Red Baron actually got his first 2 kills standing up in the back of a recon airplane with a shotgun.
Get out of town.
Which should show you how close they were getting.
Right?
If you're in shotgun range of another airplane, that is terrible.
That's close.
I'm just downloading all Tim's photos.
You can reach out and literally touch the enemy plane.
Right?
So, forgive me if I'm a little bit...
No, you're good, man. We're just looking at the stills. And I haven't seen the movie, but... as far as the authenticity of the pictures and what they're wearing and everything, it looks pretty cool.
Completely believable, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of effort is put into this production-wise. It's so good. Imagine if Tom Cruise made this now; it'd be the same. All that production effort would go.
Yep, sure would.
He'd be flying. He'd be playing one of the pilots.
You know what?
But you know what? When you watch Top Gun, you see a lot of influence from some of the air combat in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it set a new standard for air combat in movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was so well done. It couldn't have been, if it had been done crappily, people would have got really upset, you know.
Oh,
right, yeah.
I think that might be why it took so long to make this movie, is any director realized that you can't fuck this movie up, or you're going to be like ridden out of town on a rail.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's just like the movie that came up the next year, Waterloo, which is another masterful film, and one you can't screw up if you want to ever set foot in Britain again.
Mm-hmm.
And another one where they had a ridiculous amount of production value. Like a lot of those troops are actually Russian soldiers.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I think I've got them all downloaded, Tim. So we'll show those in a little while. Thanks, mate. Yeah. It's time. So he's talking about Napoleon there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson could do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even want to bet on the budget for a movie like this today, though.
If you made it now, it'd be like 400 million.
Yeah, it's like a small country's GDP.
Well, at the time, I don't know if you were here or not yet, Pope, but at the time, it was 14 million in 1969. So, that's huge. Yeah, that is bizarrely huge. Let me see what that's worth now.
This is the pilot we saw coming in earlier. He bounces, and the ground crew guy goes, "Oh bloody hell!" This guy, and he gets told off by Robert Shaw. But undercover leaves a bit sticky. But there's you see Ian McShane and Edward Fox commenting a little bit on that.
You can teach monkeys to fly better than that.
Imitating Robert Shaw, which is quite funny. And they're quite a funny pairing, Fox and McShane. They don't have a lot of scenes like that, but they're quite amusing.
And that makes those scenes all the better, is that you don't get a lot of them. So when you do get to see these guys as actual just people,
yes,
not pilots doing
this film was made today. For what they made it for back then, it would cost $124 million to make.
Which would be cheap. We'd see that as cheap
it would be cheap. Yeah.
First of all the stars would get 10 times the amount they used to get, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and second of all, if you didn't use CGI, the costs for getting 8 Spitfires running again would be astronomical.
Right.
It was like when they did the movie Fury, and that was the only time that a Tiger One, a real Tiger One, and an M4 Sherman have ever been on camera together.
All right.
Because they actually did get the world's only running Tiger from Bovington for that movie. It's like the only movie that it's ever been in, because they're so protective of it that every other movie they've just had to mock up tigers.
So I had to, because it's such a long movie, I had to really compress the time a lot of these stills in. But what you've got here is the exposition part, setting you up because that setting you up as the guy that's talking is not a real character. He's he's used as the exposition focus. So he's talking about how fighter command's going to be set up, how they're outnumbered, what the strategy is going to be, etc. So it's giving the audience some background to the strategy and the position of the forces at the time. But there's a guy in here which you also see later in the movie. So the guy second from the right, sitting there, you can't see his face very clearly, but you do see it later when he's introduced to Susanna York. He's all burnt.
Okay.
He's a real RAF guy from the Battle of Britain who was disfigured, severe burns following a crash. His squadron leader, Bill Foxley, who was a trainee navigator with Bomber Command during the war, who suffered severe burns. So they've got him in twice in this movie. He's sitting there, and then you see him close up later being introduced to Susanna York and Kenneth Moore at their air base. So that was a really nice touch to put him in the movie to show what some of the survivors suffered.
Yeah.
And obviously with burns is one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oof. So, yeah, indeed. So they've got fighter command, bomber command, whatever. They've got all these different air bases to defend. They've got radar stations.
Yeah.
Which was a major thing to have that, but then the Germans target that.
Well, yeah, that's the only way you can tell something's coming.
Yeah. So the Germans are lapping it up here in northern France. Falca is the Galland substitute guy. The technical advisor guy. So they're all having a good look. What they can see is a bunch of British guys bearing their arse to them on the other side of the channel. The Germans are pretty cocky. Living it up a bit here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they delayed. There was a bit of a delay, which gives every day gave the British more chance to rearm. You know.
Yep.
So Hitler and others sightseeing. So Dowling's talking about with this civil servant guy what they've got. What they don't
Tim
have.
says they got Gary Berghoff to hear if they're coming.
That's right, yeah.
Radar.
I love this. So you're trusting in radar and praying to God, right? I'm trusting in God and praying for radar. It's one of the great quotes, and I thought I'd clipped that. Here it is. In fact, I did.
So I tell the cabinet that you're trusting in radar and praying to God. Is that right?
More accurate the other way around. I'm trusting in God and praying for radar.
It's taken a lot of stress off.
Pope, are you talking to us or?
He's having a conversation.
Oh, he's having a conversation, right? It's okay because you couldn't hear him right. That's fine. No worries. So anyway, the situation is not great in terms of numbers. They've got outnumbered 4-1 basically. But we go back to Michael Caine's squadron and Christopher Plummer's just about to head up to Scotland to take over some training activities. Michael Caine's now in charge of this flight.
Just mute him till he gets back.
Yeah, I'll have to mute him. Sorry.
He'll be fine.
That's what stream need. This stream needs Pope to be mute.
Right.
But yeah, this leads to because this is where they've introduced some domestics, so just so they could get a woman in it, and later on have her in her underwear. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I think they did this. Although
it is 1969.
It was to show
the sexual revolution was underway. Maybe not in the World War II era, but in the world, it was already happening.
Yeah, she came 50 whole miles. 50 whole miles. Now, this is interesting because you see the Home Guard, which was the old boys and the other workers that couldn't be signed up. This is, anybody might remember a British TV show which I loved growing up for years called Dad's Army. It's a comedy, but it was the Home Guard, and it was all set in that era, and they were all there was a bumbling idiot, there was a spiv, there was a whatever. It was a fantastic show. Those who have seen it will know what I'm talking about. Very funny. The
Dad's
antics
Army.
Of Dad's Army. It was
Are they the equivalent of like the National Guard here in the States, or are they more like a civilian militia?
Yeah, civilian militia. The old boys were signed up to defend the country if things went bad. So they called them Dad's Army because they were all old guys that were too old to be drafted.
Gotcha.
Or too ill to be drafted or whatever. Or were doing jobs that they couldn't be drafted in, like farmers or whatever, because food production was a reserved occupation. You
my grandfather, my mother's father, they wouldn't take him in the military because he was an arborer. They needed wood for the war. So he was a lumber guy, and they said, nope, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. And,
well, I had to say that the women left behind in the war did need wood from somewhere. So the use of radar in the script is for the benefit of modern audiences. It was called radio direction finding back then. That's right. Yeah, I love that Gary Burghoff to hear they were coming.
All three of his sons, by the way, served in Vietnam.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Susanna York does have her frilly knickers on later, which is the closest to a risque sex scene you're going to get in this movie.
Yeah.
But the Dad's Army bit I thought was a nice touch to show that these guys, there were tens of thousands of them signed up. They were given wooden rifles at first because they didn't have any rifles, they didn't have uniforms.
Right.
Home defense, local defense volunteers, stuff like that. But Dad's Army, very funny show. Moving on. So yeah, the whole bit. I like his car. Anyone knows what kind of car that is? Somebody will know. The Internet Movie Car Database will probably know.
Yep.
So now you get Trevor Howard arriving to. He's in. Was it fighter? No, is he the fighter command or the observers? I can't remember which one he's running. But he's there to. I do quite like they've got a pin up. The guy's got a pin up. Wonder who the
well, of course it's the military, bro.
That's right.
Come on.
Touch. And he's reading
I could show you pictures of my dad right now putting his shirt on when he was serving in Alaska, and there's a Playmate right over his shoulder on the wall. I mean, that's the military, man. Yes.
Tim is so as always, men were always distracted from doing their proper job in the military by tits.
That's it.
Yeah. So David Croft created Dad's Army, and later on shows like Are You Being Served, 18.5 Hot Mum, and Allo Allo. So he had all those hit shows over the years. Most of them, not all of them. Some of them.
And if you've never seen Dad's Army, it is well worth a watch.
Oh, it's fun. It's a funny show. I did have one clip of it, and I'm not sure I've still got it here. No, I don't. It was the Scottish boy in it, John Laurie. Doomed, we're all doomed. We're all doomed. That was his catchphrase. Got it in a different profile from this one. We're all doomed. Anyway, back to the. So it's Park. Sorry. Trevor Howard's character was number 11 group commander. So fighters, basically. Fighter pilots. Fighter command. He's on instruments. So they're basically, this is all about, what we don't have. Oh, you've lost another pilot. He's overdue, and he's in the channel. He's not coming back. So, but it showed earlier that they were keen to go up there. So Michael Caine's having a conversation with a guy before Trevor Howard arrives, one of his pilots. I've got to go up and test the undercarriage. I've got to go up and test the instruments. They wanted to get engaged and fight, but Trevor Howard's saying, you got to be clever about this. We can't just go up and keep losing guys. We need them for when the real assaults come.
Well, that was the thing, is you had to know when to hold your guys back, because like you say, that like those 600 fighters were all the RAF had.
Yes, and they couldn't produce them fast enough.
And they couldn't train pilots fast enough.
That's
so
right,
every plane you lost was that much closer to defeat.
Stop the bravado. He says, yeah, well, that's what we would do too to Michael Caine, but we have to stop that now. But yeah, Keith Park, RAF 11 group was under Keith Park, and that's Trevor Howard's character. So they've got a lot of fighter squadrons under them, and it's 11 group. It must be, and Tim might correct me, the south of England, covering the key area the Germans were going to hit.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, 11 Group was like the front line of the Battle
it's
of Britain.
the front line. And they see the Germans, of course, preparing their strategy. And rightly, they were right at first. Hitler and Goering threw them off course. Destroy the RAF on the ground. Hit their airfields.
Well, that's one of many examples from especially the early war of if Hitler had ever actually listened to his advisors that knew what they were talking about, we would have been screwed.
That's right.
Because a lot of it, like you say, they made the right call at first, targeting the RAF.
Yeah.
Because you have all the time in the world to bomb Britain once the RAF's gone.
Yeah, just get the RAF out. We have air supremacy then. Which is now, I mean, you always need air supremacy these days.
I mean, we're also in the era of fighter warfare where they're still kind of deciding what air doctrine even should be.
That's right, and that's why this is the first major battle. People learned a lot from this, and so they're getting. This is July 10th, dawn raid. Germans are going to knock out radar stations and coastal installations and some air bases. So Ventnor's mentioned and Dover are two of the radar stations that they're targeting. And so you start to see some of the really great the flying scenes, the aerial combat, the bombing scenes. It's really well done, which is a shame that more people haven't seen this movie, I think, in this day and age, because it's fabulously done. The bombing stuff, really good.
And I can imagine there was a lot of very, very nervous insurance agents watching some of these scenes be filmed.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially some of the dive bombers. It's just like, that was a risky proposition when those planes were new.
Yeah. I love all the dialogue. They've got all the dialogue as well. You know, bandits at Angels 15, Bearing 270, all that stuff. They've got it all there. Trevor Howard's in charge of the ground control at this point. Velvet Leader. That guy's got a very soft clothing on. Velvet Leader. It's just very used to this kind of language from the Air Force stuff. So yeah, you get all the attack montages, relentless bombing, lots of model planes getting blown up on the ground.
Yep.
Pyrotechnics in the air. I tell you, the pyrotechnics guys must have had a blast. Pun intended.
Oh, the pyro guys on this set must have been having so much fun.
Yeah, some of those are large-scale remote-controlled models, which are interesting. But yeah, there was actual flying. They weren't like tiny little models behind on a green screen. You know, they're actually in the air. There's a little bit of smaller model work, but mostly on the ground.
And unfortunately for the Russians, the Germans learned a lot of things from the Battle of Britain too. So the next year when they attacked the Red Air Force, they basically annihilated it.
Yep. So look at they're really flooding the field there with wave after wave of bombers.
And what a time too! Like you're in the era of you just had to send mass formations of bombers over the target and hope that enough of them lived to accomplish the objective.
Well, indeed. Well, this is why my father, who was trained on Lancasters as a flight engineer, was supremely happy when he was withdrawn one day from before he was about to be posted on his first flight, non-training flight over Germany, to be told his father had died and he had to go home and look after his mother and younger siblings.
Yeah.
And he was 17, my father, at the time. And run their market garden, which is like a small farm, because his older brothers were already over in Europe or fighting. Yeah. So he said, you know, some people would have been, dang it, I didn't do my part. He said, I was glad because I knew I was going to live. It saved his life, his father dying.
Well, I mean, when you look at even the American bombing campaign over Germany, we took the dangerous route, the daylight raids, and we were losing 1 out of 4 bombers every mission.
So this was some of this, exactly. Some of this was filmed, exactly. So he was like, thank God I'm going to live.
Yeah.
You know, he was a 17-year-old kid. He wasn't all bravado. He was like, geez, it was very short.
In front of the girls, he probably was. But, you know, when you actually get him behind the scenes.
He'd already had all the girls. He could go home again.
Yeah.
So Tim's been to Duxford, which is where the Imperial War Museum is. Some of this was filmed there. A lot of it's filmed. I think they would have had anti-aircraft guns. Would be, even they had them in the First World War, did they not?
Yeah. In fact, that's sort of where the M2 Browning came from. It was designed as an anti-aircraft gun, and then we started using it for literally everything else.
Yeah, I love the choreography of these scenes. So they're desperately trying to get some planes off the ground. Others are blown up, taxing the pyrotechnics guys must have had a lot of fun. It's very, very well filmed. I can't praise the filmmakers enough.
I mean, it's a classic for a reason. I mean,
cinematography
to the cast to how it's all put together. It's beautiful.
Yes. Could watch. I tried clipping some of these to show, and it's very difficult because really 9 seconds, which is all you're allowed, is not enough to give you the right impression. So you've got to watch the movie because it's been cut together so well. These cockpit scenes with people like Robert Shaw and Michael Caine, cutting to bombers, fighters fighting fighters, coming in from the sky, guys bailing out. It has to be seen as a one,
Yeah.
I think.
And in addition to the pyro guys, the stunt pilots must have been in absolute heaven because they're finally getting to do what all pilots want to do.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff here because it's showing the role of the women in the war, and obviously women played a huge part in forces and in industrial production, or they had to. She's really learning a lesson here. It's the first time she's seen any of this.
Yeah.
And she also gets shouted at by an officer. It might have been Kenneth Moore, I can't remember. Like, get your shit together. So she then learns from that and turns around and she's an officer, starts telling guys forcibly, get the stretchers. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. She becomes something she wasn't before, which I thought was a really nice way that they did that,
Well, and it really shows, what new officers always went through. If you're the one in charge, but you're just as new to this as your privates are. So, some guys just couldn't hack it. Couldn't hack it.
But she grew as an officer there in a way. I love the fact they've got the tea getting served already.
Yep.
We just had the shit blown out of us, but let's get the tea.
Gotta have the tea, man.
Gotta have the tea. So we're not low tea. How are you getting on over?
These guys are all high tea, okay? They're high tea.
Hope you're still hanging in there over in Rumble, Viking, Nav. Joe's keeping you company. If I could reach over there, I'd be able to type in it too.
I'm good. I got you covered, man. He hasn't said anything in a
I do have it up there, Viking Nav. I'm watching the chat there. I just can't show it in here, unfortunately. So the Germans they just show back, and they're going to attack other areas. This is what it wasn't just. They got a bit of a shock. They said outside the range of the English fighters. They forgot about the fighters. There were fighters stationed in other places. So tough shit on you.
Yeah. Man, see, this is one reason why I don't like talking about World War II. I think I wrote it in the chat when the show first started. During the trailer, we saw Adolphus himself addressing a room, and I said, F that pencil stashed goose stepping goon. I can't stand him. No.
Exactly. That's why this was such a glorious defeat.
I respect the Japanese. I actually respect the Japanese. You know what I mean? I can respect them. But man, that guy, no.
So I love what Tim says. Kenneth Moore's character, who was with Susanna York, is basically doing the stiff upper lip walk.
Right.
Same as John Cleese. Well, bad news, sir. Jerry bombed the galley and took out the tea. That's it. Get under Winston. We're quitting.
Yeah, we're out of here. They're high tea guys. They got to have it.
Yeah, they got a bit of a shock that there was actually fighters up there because they were training, of course. But
that's one of two ways, bombing somebody. The English's tea could go. It'll either be they'll surrender immediately, or Screw it, fix bayonets, lads. They don't like it up them.
Yeah. They don't
So,
like it up 'em. Well, that was a line. That's a famous line from Dad's Army, because one of the old boys in it who'd fought in the Boer War was, "They don't like it up 'em, you know." That was what
I got it from a YouTuber I've been watching for probably 15 years now, the Mighty Jingles.
Yeah.
Who famously was a Royal Navy guy during the first Gulf War.
Yeah. I love them arguing over the air about that. It's a third of the guy goes, "I kill. It's a third of a kill." Two others have claimed it. So fuck you. And these are that's what this is the training guys that Christopher Plummer went up to train. So they got a surprise when they bombed the Northeast.
Yeah.
So Laurence Olivier is.
Now, during all this training and everything, they're getting ready to defend the island, but are they sending any sorties out?
Yes.
Are they doing that at this time, too?
So the RAF was still out doing stuff elsewhere, as was the Fleet Air Arm.
They were providing air cover for the evacuation of Dunkirk, right about that.
So there was that,
yeah.
But the obviously there was British Air Forces stationed in various British colonies and other such places. They weren't concentrated in just Britain, but most of them were, because that's where the danger was. But you see the British Bomber Command in this movie responding by going to bomb Berlin.
Yeah.
And they started to bomb German industrial installations and German cities, various raids all over the place. So Bomber Command was doing its thing.
And this
whilst
was really
Fighter Command were doing their thing, trying to defend.
This was really the beginning of the strategic bombing campaign that wouldn't let up for another 4 years.
Yeah, Wellingtons. I actually, seen it. Yeah, I've seen a couple of Wellingtons. I actually worked on the Shackletons, which were the successor to the Wellington. So.
Now, were you a mechanic, or were you doing some kind of support?
So I was avionics engineer.
Okay.
So ground crew, avionics is flight systems, communications, radar, all that electronic stuff you see in the cockpit. That was my stuff, navigation, equipment. So it was my thing. I did some work on armor. I wasn't an armorer, but some of it ties into the armaments stuff. But you know, when you're working in a squadron, you pretty much do everything. So
man, that's a sleek son of a gun right there. That is sleek.
It is.
That is something else.
So
those planes are pretty. They really are.
Yeah, you do everything on a squadron. So you'll do, you know, the guys are seeing the planes off and waving them in. You do all that startup stuff. You'll go out and help do engine changes and there's just a ton of shit going on. So.
Now, one plane I've always wanted to see up close, and I've never actually seen one because I don't think there's any in the United States, is the Vulcan.
Yeah, I've been in a few, and I've on the ground, not in the air, but I've seen it. I've seen a few air shows that I've been at in the Air Force and outside of the Air Force. Very impressive when they take off. Loud.
Just really cool airplane.
Loud as fuck and very cool, the Vulcan. Very, very cool shape.
It makes me wish we had gotten the XB-70 working, because that thing was an absolute terror.
Yeah, so the Lancasters were the Shackleton Forerunner. So I worked on Shackletons for a while. There were still some Shackletons in service in the 80s. Not many, but they were. You used to catch the rivets when they were flying over you.
It's so funny because I hear you talking about something being in service. There's a big difference between when Pope served and when I served. When I was in, we hadn't gone to the Humvee yet. We were still using Jeeps. We were still using Colt 45s for our sidearms. They had gone to 9s, I think, by the time you were in, right?
We had the M9, and they were old by the time I.
Yeah, we had the whole piss pots when I was in '83 through '86.
We had the same helmets.
Yeah, really? Okay.
The K-pot.
Okay.
We were still using that in 2009.
No kidding. Wow.
Well, keep in mind, this is the Marine Corps. We never get rid of anything if it's.
I was fixing to say, it's not a helmet to me unless you can shave in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we were also still using the CH-46s from Vietnam.
Oh wow.
the Navy had finally gotten rid of them, and we bought up all the ones that they got rid of.
I was in the last Army unit that issued slant-pocketed jungle fatigues.
Yep.
Johnson Island was the last unit that the Army issued those to. I don't know which one the Marines kept. I'm sure the Marines kept using them forever, but
we went to the BDU in the 80s, and then right before I came in the early 2000s, we switched over to the MARPAD.
Okay. Yeah, we were in BDUs too, but I'm telling you, on Johnson Island, that particular place out in the middle of the Pacific, I was issued jungle fatigues when I got on that island. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, it makes sense. It is a jungle island.
Yep.
The thing that was interesting about the Shackletons, they were still using, they were airborne early warning aircraft, and they were based, as Tim rightly points out, in the Lancaster. They were very different from the other aircraft I worked on, which were much more modern. They had much smaller electronics, black boxes. Still nothing like the computerized stuff we have now, but when you went over to the Shackleton, first of all, nobody was left that had worked on that stuff. They all retired, so they didn't have anybody that was truly a specialist on the electrics on it and the avionics equipment. So they'd basically say, "Well, we need you to go over there and do something. You've never been trained on it," and it was just enormous big boxes of stuff,
right?
Tons of and crawl spaces, actual crawl spaces that
right.
you would go through. Unlike just a hatch that you would put your head in, it was crawl spaces, and you had first of all navigating your way around the aircraft because it was like a 7 or 8 seater. People would sit in the different stations in it. You've seen them; they sit in the station. So it was a whole new experience having to go over and work on those and figure out what the hell was going on.
Oh, watch out. She's got no pants on.
There she goes.
Look out.
There's the sex in the film. So I quite enjoyed going over there, but it was almost a heart in the mouth thing because you're thinking, can I really fix this? I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Right. Just
the manuals are like 40 years old and there's papers falling apart.
Maybe research what should happen here.
So, typically speaking, the first thing that's probably going to be wrong is a cable's probably broken somewhere. So always look for that.
Right.
I could fix that.
Well, and then, of course, you have, a lot of the early helicopters and stuff like that where one of my buddies was a crew chief on a UH-1Y. Yes, yes, chat. The Marine Corps still uses the UH-1. And the way he described it was... it's not a one aircraft, it's 6,000 parts flying in very close formation.
Yeah, so Tim's pointing out, there's the British sex scenes. The lights are out and they're all fully clothed.
They're fully clothed, right? Probably got one foot on the floor, too.
They smoke during sex. This is funny because this is where the Germans dropped their bombs in London. So the British retaliated by bombing Berlin, and there's a joke there about Hitler said, if the British ever bomb Berlin, you can call me Meyer or something. And so the guy goes, well, I guess we're calling him Meyer from now on then.
Hello?
That's the joke.
Get you some,
They're bombing.
Boy.
They're bombing. Yeah. It's quite,
did they have air raid sirens in
yes,
Berlin?
They did. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So obviously Adolf gets... a little bit pissed.
Pencil stashed.
Because he promised that they would never bomb Berlin. Well,
guess what?
Did.
Here's your sign. It's not going to work, you freaking dwarf.
I think Tim's making another British sex reference there. It used to be, brace yourself, Effie, I'm coming in. That's foreplay, British foreplay.
Lord.
Brace yourself, I'm coming in.
Gird your loins.
So Goering's arrived to give them a pep talk.
Oh, man.
So I got to play a couple of video clips.
I was fixing to say, this guy's got to be priceless, right? Yeah.
I'll let the lot of you swim over the channel. He's priceless. The Goering scenes are just hilarious.
Well, that was one of the question marks in Operation Sea Lion is the Germans had almost no naval transport capability, so how were they going to get the army?
Exactly. Hang on. So I've got Goering. Oh yeah, I'll play. These are just very short clips. He's all excited.
Yeah,
But
right.
later on, when the shit's hitting the fan.
Er braucht Bewegungsfreiheit. Sie waren selbst Jagdflieger, Herr Reichsmarschall.
Ich war Jagdflieger. Aber ich war kein Feigling.
Calls them a coward. He calls them cowards. He's not winning hearts and minds in his own side.
No.
So. Anyway,
Reminds me of Red Skull. We fought to the last man. Evidently not.
Evidently not, yes. So, yeah, Goering's lapping it up here on this tour, which is...
Although, I mean, he does have a point. I mean, he and Ernst Udet were both World War I flying aces.
I do like this,
Wow.
Tim. Tim's is a real photo. I'm not in a woman's dress. Nice one.
Hermann Goering was a weird cat, man.
He was, and yet such a brave fighter in the First World War. Brave.
Well, he's one of those guys that knows the rest of his life is gravy. You know, he just can't give two shits about it, right? Yeah.
I mean, the heroin addiction probably didn't help.
That's true, yeah. Yeah.
Well, didn't I hear somewhere that
us.
as jacked up as Adolf acted a lot in some of the footage that he might have been on amphetamines himself, just jacked up?
Oh, possibly.
Methamphetamine was issued to the German army as a stimulant.
Oy, yikes.
Look up Pervitin.
Oh, man. No. No,
It's
no
like
thanks.
It was literally like a lifesavers tube, but with fucking meth.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the Germans got down like that.
So what you're telling me is the master race needed help. Okay.
Pretty
All
much. Well, I mean, they were also running them for like 3 days straight. So.
Right.
So but they've made their mistake now, in a sense, although it's a nightmare for the people of London, and it was for the rest of the war, a nightmare for them. They've decided to pull the bombers off the airfields and bomb London in retaliation. So they're going to raise London to the ground. But the fighters can only give them 10 minutes of cover over London. So that's a huge mistake there. Yes, they're kicking the shit out of civilians in London, but and Dowling himself says in the movie, it could be their biggest blunder, and it was, because it gave the RAF a chance to recover their airfields.
It took the pressure off of the RAF, who was already stretched to the fucking limit. Like their mechanics and pilots were strung out.
Yeah.
And there was no replacements.
And it gave the RAF a chance to attack the bombers once the fighter cover had to leave.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense, man.
They got the T. It's always with the T.
And even if you can't intercept the bombers on the way in, when they have fighter cover and stuff like that, shooting them down on the way out is just as good, because that's that many fewer bombers that will be in tomorrow's raid.
Yeah, and here's where they introduce a bit of personal tragedy, because Sergeant Moore there, Ian McShane's family are there, and he actually had arranged for them to go to the country, and they're still there, and they're in this church sheltering. Of course, it's not underground. And he goes to rescue a family in a burnt-out building, and when he comes back, the church has been hit.
Yeah.
So.
Now let me ask you this, because I'm not really literate about it. I know a lot of things that went on, but I don't know timelines or anything like that. Is this before the rocket attacks, or is this afterwards?
This is before.
This is before.
This is still 1940.
Okay.
That stuff was like 44.
Yeah, I think
the V1s and then the
started in
V2s.
1943, and then the V2s were 44, 45.
Okay.
I think the Germans were even building massive rail guns to use that could fire from...
They were trying to design one. I don't think they ever finished one, but they were building some really crazy shit.
Isn't that what the guns in the Navarone are based off of? I know they're fictional, but...
No. You're thinking of a railway cannon, like, a normal railway cannon. We're talking actual magnetic accelerator.
Wow.
Rail
guns. Actual rail guns. Wow.
Yeah, they were playing with it.
Oof.
They never got it to work, but neither have we.
So McShane's obviously shattered, but he has to go back. Robert Shaw's really good friend to him. Yeah. But yeah, he has to go back. They need every pilot they've got. But this time it's personal.
Well, I mean, that's always the old joke about, Werner von Braun's autobiography of, I aim for the moon, only sometimes I hit London.
Yeah,
this time it's personal. Is this a Bruce Willis movie, Brian?
It's a Bruce Willis movie.
And the funny part is the German intelligence agencies were so bad. Basically, after the first few V2s hit London, Churchill basically went to all the British papers and were like, hey, report every, impact as if it's 20 kilometers north of where it actually hit.
Really?
And they believed the British
to
papers.
throw them off. Wow. That's
And
genius, man. That is genius.
Their fire.
Wow. That's
Because
genius.
they were hitting London, and then they stopped because they believed the British.
So this is the Polish. You've seen Barry Foster here, who's, I think he went on to have a big hit show called Van der Valk. He was a Dutch detective show for years in Britain. He's been training the Poles in this quite hilarious.
Yeah, Tim pointed out earlier that he was in the Wild Geese. Yeah.
Yeah, Barry, he's a good actor. Yeah, I didn't mention him at the beginning, but then he's very proud of them that they've become operational, and they were a great. They got a lot of kills, a lot of kills, and there was a lot of them. These are the Poles. So the Czechs, the Poles, the Czechs were not bouncing in this; they were being cashed.
Yep. And they were motivated.
Yeah.
Guys, I love you to death. I'm enjoying the heck out of this, but I have a show in a half an hour, and I have to eat something.
I will be redirecting to you.
I appreciate it. You guys be good. You guys keep going. Don't miss a beat. Everybody knows I've got a show at the bottom of the hour, so you guys come check me out. I'll talk to you later, guys. Be good.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that last battle there was Canfield's squadron, and they were the ME 109s give them heavy losses there. So you see the young pilot Jamie's the only one survives that fight. That's why the clip of him, my CEO and my number 2 were killed.
And that was a regular occurrence of, you might win that fight, but half of your squadron didn't.
Yeah. Christopher Plummer gets shot down too, but he survives. Not too bad a condition.
And this was the advantage of World War II over World War I, is parachutes had come a long way. So a lot of times a pilot would survive getting shot down and be able to learn from that experience.
Yeah. Well, the worst stories you hear, though, are the pilots that parachuted out and they were getting shot by the other side.
Yep. My favorite one of those is actually a reversal of that, where a parachuting American, I think, Marine aviator over the Pacific shot down a Japanese Zero with his 45.
Yeah.
Because the guy was coming in to strafe his parachute.
That's a pretty cool thing to do. No, that's something you could see Bruce Willis doing in a movie.
Yeah, but he was coming in to strafe the guy's parachute. He pulls out his 45 and puts one right through the windscreen and kills the pilot.
I think this is Harvey. Yeah, I think this is possibly Harvey bailing out now.
But that's just like respect. Just because I'm in my parachute doesn't mean I'm out of the fight.
I'm still armed.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Polish guy getting.
This is one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
Like him trying to convince the English in Polish that he's not German.
I'm on your side. Poor bugger.
Oh.
Hicks. What do you expect? Hicks.
Literal pitchforks and torches time.
Yeah, the pitchfork time, yeah. But yeah, things are heating up.
It may have been on the wrong side of the war, but God, the HE-111 is just such a cool looking aircraft.
It is, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, they're getting, and it's showing what these guys went through too. I mean, they were just young guys, a lot of them too, the air crew. Leaving the enemy side thing apart, they were brave air crew too,
And I don't have any problem with the average German soldier of the day, like the Heer people.
Yeah.
Because they were just men fighting for their nation.
Exactly.
The SS, on the other hand, well, they were a little more problematic.
So what's really been happening is that, because Goering starts to lose his shit now, because him and Hitler's decision to do the mass daytime raids in London has meant the Lee Mallory big wings have been able to come into play with tons of fighters descending on those German bomber squadrons. And once the German fighters are out of the picture, they could just pick them off.
And it goes to show you the difference one decision can make.
Yeah.
Because that one decision probably cost them the Battle of Britain and made sure the RAF was going to be a thing going forward.
Yeah. So the British start to reduce their losses and the German losses start to increase. And they get a lot of great dogfight scenes through this whole part of the movie.
I mean, short of Top Gun, these are some of the best dogfights I've seen in movies.
Yeah. Now, this is we're into the September 15th stuff. I'm just going to pause that because, first of all, the madman that is Christian Delorme has super chatted another $5. Cowards run, but masochismi argue with their wives. Masochists argue with their wives. Yes,
he's not
indeed.
Wrong.
He's not wrong. Thank you for that, my friend. I will show you a clip from the movie. This is a sequence which I wanted to show the whole bit of. This is the one I talked about earlier about the guy who rammed the German guy to save. But in the movie, he shoots him down. Edward Fox shoots him down. So this is some clips illustrating that sequence, and I'll have to play them with a gap in between so I don't get the copyright screwed up. First of all, some of the air combat. Yeah, here he shoots him down, whereas in real life the guy rammed the plane and survived.
Although one of the biggest things hampering the British aircraft at the beginning of this war was its armament. 8303s is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, they did something about that as the different marks of these aircraft went on.
Well, yeah,
so you're seeing there how close that guy was to things like Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. And pretty shortly after the Battle of Britain, if not during, I know the Spitfire actually started carrying a pair of 20mm cannons.
Cheers, Snorty. You got to go. Thanks, and thanks for becoming a mod and doing some modding. Appreciate it, mate. Yeah, so indeed. And so the next clip in this sequence shows the crowd. It's only a model. No. And then
just based on the railway arches there, is that Wellington Station?
I don't know. It's possibly. It's supposed to be central London. I don't know which. I mean, sure, somebody will know. I've been in it, whichever one it is. I've been in them all. But so then is Edward Fox has had to bail out. And of course, in real life, as we said, the guy went to the pub and got a whole rounds of drinks bought for him. But
Victoria Station, thank you, Tom.
In Victoria, it was Victoria, and then, but here, of course, he gets something different.
Thanks awfully, old chap.
He's so English, Edward Fox. So good at that. Thanks awfully. Spiffing, isn't it? Spiffing.
Yeah. I missed that era of England, of just the way they talk.
I know. Now it's all over my, whatever they call it now, Thames Estuary English.
Yeah.
All the yobs. They all speak like that, don't they? Whereas then it was, hello. Jolly good. Spiffing. I say, I'm going to fuck you up, old chap.
And the one thing I can say, having served alongside the Royal Army, they were on our base, and we actually went out with them a couple of times, is never piss off the English, because they just don't care.
They do not.
It's like, when it comes to a fight, they are not going to back down, ever.
Yeah. They are not. So this is, I mean, there's tons more action in this sequence that I would love to have shown. I love the cockpit stuff where you're seeing people getting on fire, oil splattering everywhere, and then all.
And this is one of the things I loved about Masters of the Air too, is that they did not shy away from showing you just how brutal this air combat was.
Terrible, yeah. So at this point, every RAF squadron is airborne, and they're trying to show the scale of that.
I don't know that that's ever happened before or since, when an entire country's air force is airborne.
Everything is airborne. That's it. Nothing left.
It's like they're literally throwing together ones that they think they can fix.
Yeah. There's talking about Christopher Plummer, who you saw bailing out there.
Yep.
I think the introducer to this, I don't know whether we missed it or not, but the guy with the burnt face is introduced at some point. As I say, he was a real guy. He's taken the see, that's the guy earlier that bounced the plane, and now he's taking the other, even more rookies up, and they follow me and watch me and do what they do.
Because I mean, in a situation like this, you become a veteran very quickly, or you die.
Yeah.
And yes, Tim, also don't piss off the Canadians.
Don't piss off the Canadians. That's right.
There's an entire list of things that we're not allowed to do in wars anymore because of you people.
Yeah. The Canadians fought exceptionally bravely in World War I
and exceptionally dirty at times.
Oh, don't believe all that nicey Canadian stuff.
Yeah, when they stop apologizing, bad things start happening.
Yep, they certainly do.
It's like whenever the Marines get involved and we run out of either caffeine or nicotine. That's when the real problems start.
Yeah, this stuff is just so well done. I could watch these combat sequences again and again. That's a masterclass on how to film this stuff. And editing, editing, I can't remember who the editor was, but the editing of the movie is phenomenal. It's one of the greatest war movies ever made, in my opinion.
They do not screw up this entire movie. Yeah. Like, they just know what they're trying to portray, and they do it the right way every time.
One of the greatest war movies ever, absolutely, in my mind.
I would put it up there with things like Gettysburg.
Yeah.
If you've not seen Gettysburg and Gods and Generals, go watch both of them. I guess I know it's a 7-hour commitment, but
it is. Yeah. Take a bottle to pee into.
I actually lived up the street from Stonewall Jackson's headquarters.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And George Washington had an office out here as well.
Nice.
And I lived literally down the street from, I don't know if you know who Daniel Morgan is.
I've heard the name.
One of the early revolutionaries. And apparently he's from Winchester, or the city I live in. And as soon as they heard about the attack at Lexington, they marched from here to Boston in 21 days. That's moving.
It certainly is. In those
especially
days,
on foot.
Yeah, in those days it is. Yeah,
it is. Sure. That is hauling ass.
Well, hey, it worked.
It did.
See, you're seeing now what they did in the war. They used the London Underground as bomb shelters.
Well, because it was a pre-existing structure underground that
hundreds of miles of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's really all they could do.
Hey, just like today, they're having trouble with the American press.
Well, I mean, who hasn't?
So they're, I mean, the British did this. This is the British they hit the Germans pretty hard in that battle.
And it was pretty much because they had to.
Yeah, they had to, and the German tactics had reduced their effectiveness. So now everybody's sitting waiting.
And I think they've even said it in the movie. But basically, like, if we don't win this, we've had it.
Yep.
Like this is the end.
All over. So now they're wondering when's today's onslaught going to happen. And they're all knackered. You could see Ian McShane's falling asleep there, and they're all sitting there. Hey, this is where the only inaccuracy in the film comes in. The sun doesn't shine in Britain.
Yeah, true.
They're sitting there with the sun shining.
What is this big yellow ball in the sky?
That's right. What is that?
Go away.
So lights out to fool the bombers. Yeah, we see the Germans packing up. They're giving up. You've let me down. They're giving up the strategy. They know they can't win air superiority. They're basically giving up on the Battle of Britain.
And I will give them credit.
And the invasions
at this point is they were at least smart enough to know when they were never going to win that and stop throwing resources at it.
Yeah, they knew, and so therefore the invasion is off. The British won.
Not that an invasion was, like you said a couple times, ever really in danger of happening, because the Germans couldn't really do it.
They wanted, as you saw at the beginning, they wanted to force the British to come to the table and make peace.
And surrender.
Yeah. Well, it would have been, we'll keep Europe, you keep your empire. Whatever. Hitler always said, I don't want war with Britain, blah, 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 blah. But, the British were... So let's invade the USSR. Yeah, we're done there. Let's go and invade the USSR, as Tim says.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at it, trying to invade England in 1940 was almost as stupid an idea as Japan toying with the idea of invading the United States.
I know. You'd never have.
Well, Yamamoto basically told them,
every blade
you understand they have more guns than people, right? This is a retarded idea, and you should never think of it again.
So, as Tim points out, there are more tunnels that are not on the maps of London and bunkers too, and there are stations under there that are closed or haven't been open for a long time. There's a lot of shit under London. So very interesting when you watch documentaries on it. So that was the movie Battle of Britain. I just wanted to show Tim's photographs.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It is. So Tim might hopefully in the chat can walk us through them. I'm going to zoom in on that. That is absolutely...
As much as I love my big American birds, the Lancaster was just gorgeous.
That is absolutely beautiful. To think that my father was trained on those.
And Tim brings up a point that I hadn't brought up, but yes, that's correct. Mary Tyler Moore is actually related to the family that owned that house.
All right.
And I believe is also distantly related to Stonewall himself.
I see. So that's a beautiful picture. I'm going to have to open these one by one. I don't think so. Well, maybe that was the last one. I'll go backwards then.
Oh, the Jaguar.
Yeah, well, that's my one.
I do like the Jaguar a lot. It wasn't
It wasn't the only aircraft I worked on, but I was like that was the de facto avionics guy on those.
The Jaguar, the Tornado, and the Harrier were like peak British airplanes in the 80s.
Tornadoes were what I ended up working on. And that's the ones I was working on when we were in the Q8 thing. But yeah, Buccaneers I worked on. Those are the three main ones. There's a couple of other. There was a couple of hunters, Hawker Hunters and stuff.
You guys were still using the Hawker Hunter by then?
Yeah.
Okay.
For training.
Oh, for training. Yeah, that makes sense. Because they are good aircraft. It was just they were old by then.
Yeah. It was training aircraft that I still worked on those. I worked on a few things. I never worked on Harriers. No, never worked on them.
You should be very thankful for that. Everybody I know who works on the Harriers that the Marine Corps hates them.
Yeah.
Because they're just apparently a massive pain to work on.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
And, there is something about the Stuka I just like.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous. I just love the machinery, it's just beautiful. So
it's a shame about the guys driving it.
Yeah, Polish Air Force tribute at the Imperial War Museum. I like that. I finished my course. I have kept the faith. I have fought a good fight. I like that. It's nice.
And they did.
They did. If ever a country has been fucked about before, during, and after the Second World War, it was Poland.
And as a result, they now are on a mission to have the largest army in Europe.
Yeah,
because they're done taking Germany's shit.
Good, yeah. Shouldn't take anybody's shit. I like Poland.
I like the Poles a lot. They're very, very nice people. And every Pole I've ever served with, we did have a couple of Polish Army guys serving in our area. They're great troops, great attitude, and they wanted to learn.
So there's only 2 of these left in the world, according to Tim.
2 GU-87s? That doesn't surprise me. A lot of them were gone by the end of the war.
U.S. Airmen roll call in this book. Tribute to those guys that gave their lives.
And Davina, what did the Poles drink? Anything that isn't nailed down. But mostly vodka.
Dowling. Is this Air Chief Marshal Dowling? I can never tell from a statue. I'm not good at that stuff.
Well, he also wasn't a very distinctive looking guy. He was, pretty average. middle-aged Englishman.
Yeah. I keep calling him Dowling. It's Dowding, of course. I always say that. Even I've always called him Dowling, and I don't know why. I thought Dowling was a thing you hammer in, a wooden thing. Well, Hurricane, that's nice. Still a nice aircraft.
And I know where that is, I think. That's in the Air and Space Museum Annex in Chantilly, Virginia. I've been there.
I thought this was the Imperial War Museum, but I could be wrong.
Could be. But that's a B-29
These are Tim's
behind
pictures.
it. But that's a B-29 behind it. And the Enola Gay is actually in the Air and Space Museum Annex in full form.
Well, as the orchestral maneuvers in the dark sang, Enola Gay, you should have stayed at home yesterday.
And if you ever get the chance to come down here, I would love to take you around that museum. There is all sorts of cool shit.
Well, it will happen, mate. Trust me, it will happen.
Including one of the space shuttles is there now.
Cool. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, that's the Enola Gay saying, yep. Thank you, Tim, for sharing those photos with us. I really appreciate that, mate. I'm sure we'll use them again in future shows. Because I do have to start wrapping up now.
And that is a good question. I don't know that the Fleet Air Arm was all that involved in the Battle of Britain.
They were. There was a lot of the pilots lost their lives. They were involved, especially with protecting the aircraft in the channel and so on.
And I knew
British, the dockyards, naval dockyards, fighting to protect those. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they were involved, in the hunt against the Bismarck a year later, but I didn't realize that they were as heavily involved.
Yeah, there was quite a few Fleet Air Arm involvement in the Battle of Britain for sure. I'm going to hide that in the stream. Hang on. Thank you to Viking Nav and anyone else that's been watching over in Rumble. Appreciate it a lot. Cheers, guys. Thanks to anyone that was watching on X. If you enjoyed the show, leave a like, all that good stuff. Heart it. Pope, my friend, thank you very much for your participation as always. And I think you're going to be working soon, though. So you're.
Yeah, sadly, this is going to be my last regular appearance on this show for the foreseeable future.
Sorry about that, mate.
I hate leaving. I've been part of this show pretty much from the beginning.
From the beginning, mate. Yep.
And it has been a great damn near 4 years now. And I'll be around as much as I can, but unfortunately my work schedule is precludes me being on here.
Well, I've welcomed your participation, my brother, and we'll do something else, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
In the different time slots, but if you can ever make it back, let me know, and if you can sneak a listen while you're at work.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Not that I would ever say you should do that, but you never know. So I would.
I'm not saying we should, but you could.
Yeah, but thank you for all of that. I'm sure it's not the end, but I'm very pleased that your work is working out. But thank you for your participation today. As always, it was wonderful. What can I say? Cheers, brother.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry to be leaving, but life happens. So
it does, and it's not the end.
I promise is I'll be around when I can, and we'll be doing many things with either Bonded by Metal or even just between the two of us.
Absolutely, it's not the end. It's not even the end of the beginning. The beginning of the end. It's only the end of the beginning.
It could be the end of the beginning.
Something like that. And thank you to Joe for being here with us. Joe's show will be starting very shortly, and it'll be redirecting automatically to that. So thank you to Joe. I would like to thank everyone who super chatted today. Appreciate it. It does help me keep the lights on and pay for doggy medicine and other such things. Everyone who's modded today, Davina, Snorty, D-Bud, thank you all very much for your modding. I'd like to thank Tim particularly for all his assistance today, for proposing this, sending those photographs, and for all his help with this, and also for being a high sticker member, of course. Thank you to all my channel members who help me keep this thing going. And thanks to everyone else in the chat for your support. Yeah, as I say, please like. If you're lurking and you've not subscribed to the show yet, please subscribe and all that great stuff that helps keep us going. Thank you. Next week, I think we're going to do Forbidden Planet. I think we'll do Forbidden Planet. It's time for a sci-fi. So that will be the show. I will hopefully be putting out a couple of videos. I did put a video out yesterday about a Korean show called Good Boy, which has had a few hundred views. I'm getting quite a few views on that one for some reason, which is nice. I'm getting hundreds of views.
Weird the ones that pop off. We had that Colossus stream that blew up out of all proportion, and then
well, I'm still getting views on that every day. The Colossus discussion, it was one of the best discussions we had. Yeah, it still pops up with 40, 50
it was
views
a cool episode, and we had a lot of fun talking about it. But it's interesting that one blew up out of everything.
But some of my Korean reviews get like 30 people, but this one's had quite a few hundred. There's a doggy joining me down here. Come on, puppy. Ivy, come see me. Come on. Who's this? Come on.
Oh, there she is.
Can you come up? Oh, there she goes. Oh, she's not trying to get in the limelight. She's feeling better. She's had tummy problems the last few nights, and we had to get some vet visits and whatever. So next week, Forbidden Planet, check out my latest Korean review. I do a short just about every day on my vinyl collection, and watch for Bonded in Metal, which links have been going up in here. I've got a couple of video ideas for that. I just need to sit down and bloody do them, So Bonded by Metal with Pope and Nick and Imp and Disciple of Rock and whoever the hell else is doing stuff in there. I gotta go. Yeah, puppy. Hey, puppy. You coming? Ivy. Come on, sweetie. Oh, and Mrs. Rock fan too. Rocker. Come on, show everybody. Come on. No. Oh, God.
No,
she's not going to. I want her to jump up here like she does when I'm not on a stream.
Of course not.
Right, so have a great night, everybody. I'll be over in Comics Division Monday Night Meltdown later. Thanks again, everyone. This has been a fun show, and I'm so glad we did it. So until next time, stay well and keep on rocking.